What's up, wizards, werewolves, and spirits of intellect? Welcome back to the Fantasy Files Podcast, the podcast that wastes hours of your life that you are just never getting back. We are your co-hosts, Spencer and Gabe, joined by the one and only Jake. Don't skip live ship Bishop, and our friend and resident Dresden and Stormlight enthusiast, Gavin. And today we'll be going through the Dresden Files character list and sorting everyone into their Hogwarts houses. I will say right off the bat that we will be completely spoiling the Dresden Files while we decide who goes into what house, because we need to think about what kind of character they are throughout the entire story, and we'll be pulling ideas from all over the series, or at least what we have so far. So if you have not read through Battleground, then this may not be the discussion for you. Come back after you have, because we are not pulling our punches with that. I doubt that there will be any like Harry Potter spoilers, because we're really not talking about the story of Harry Potter. We're just talking about like what each house is. So you probably don't need to worry too much about that. So sit back, relax, and check out the description for all of our links to our socials, including our Patreon, where you can watch episodes live as we record them. With that being said, we have a ton of characters to get through and lots to talk about. Jake and Gavin, welcome back to the show. It is always so great to have you guys on.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to, after you said that, spoil Harry Potter things when I'm like, you see, I think it's okay that it's Ravenclaw, because, for example, in Harry Potter, this happens.
You could do that. And to be fair, yes.
But also, if you don't know Harry Potter spoilers at this point,
what are you doing? Yeah, like everybody's at least seen the movies. Like right now we're going through Harry Potter like book by book and movie by movie in our other episode series called Potter Watch. And our newest co-host, Sam, she has not read the books, but she's seen all the movies. And so we were like, come on and read the books with us and then rewatch the movies as we go through. But we're going to spoil the whole thing. So if that's okay with you. And she's like, yeah, she's like, I know the general story, so that's not like a big deal. And I think that's how most people are, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel at this point, everyone either knows what happens or doesn't care what happens.
Exactly. Like, yeah. You're either a Harry Potter fan or you're not.
You should be in one of those camps if you're rattled.
No, yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, welcome, Gavin. I think the last time we had you on. That was for Stormlight, right?
Yeah, that was Red Kings. Yeah, a lot of fun. Happy to
awesome.
be back.
Yeah, that was super cool. We're going through right now. For all of our viewers, if you're interested, we're going through Stormlight for the very first time. So our Way of Kings episode is edited and posted, so you can watch that now. And then next weekend, we are doing Words of Radiance, which will be a ton of fun. It was actually kind of funny because this week, I don't know, Gabe, if you felt this way as well, but I'm not used to having... or I'm not used to not having a book that I should have read for the weekend. And so as we got closer and closer to Sunday, I started having like anxiety, like, wait, was I supposed to read something? No, it's a topical discussion. We're fine. And then like even this morning, I was like, wait, should I be finishing a book right now? And I'm like, wait, no, we're fine.
Yeah, I think that's why when you texted me yesterday about it, I think that's why I was like, so I just forgot, because there was no talk of a book. There was nothing planned.
Had like a mini panic attack.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Reread the entire Dresden Files for this?
Oh, shoot. I forgot. How did I forget to read the entire series?
Yeah, a couple million words, guys. Come on, it's pretty fast-paced.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think for this episode, Jake and Gavin both like messaged me when we were talking individually, and you guys were both like, I've read Harry Potter, but I haven't like reread it recently. Is that going to be a problem? And I'm like, I care way more that you're knowledgeable about the Dresden Files than you are about Harry Potter.
Well, that's good.
Because we can and we can go through what each house does just as a reminder to everybody. And I think I found some resources that give some like pretty good details on what each one is. But before we do that, a couple things I wanted to mention. is the last time that Jake came on, we were doing Ghost Story. It was all the way back at Ghost Story, and he had mentioned that he hadn't posted it as of that recording, but he had done an interview with Jim Butcher. And Jake, I just want to give you so much praise right now because I watched that interview when it came out and it was so good, dude. It was
Thank
so
you.
amazing. Oh my God. If anybody hasn't seen it, please go to search Jake Bishop, Jim Butcher on YouTube and watch it because he asked some questions. You know, we get so many interviews with Jim Butcher that are people just asking the same thing over and over, and it's like, yes, we know about him being in school and starting the Dresden Files and his teacher like, you know, challenging him to write something. You know, we know all of that. And so, Jake, I just want to say it was super refreshing to get somebody who's asking like difficult questions or interesting questions. 'Cause,
Thanks.
yeah,
I gained some empathy for the people who asked him questions that went into default answers. Because as I was coming up with questions, I kept coming up with questions and then being like, "Damn, that's going to run into a default answer." So
Mhm.
I kept like it actually took a while to come up with ones that I didn't know the answer to
I
Yeah.
because I
bet.
was. And it was I gained before I was like come on, it's not that hard to ask him different questions. But I'm like, damn, Rogue's
Right.
answered a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And the problem is,
Like,
his normal answers to those questions are really good, but everyone who's a
Sure.
fan has heard them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So getting him, because it's easy for him to fall into his normal stories, which are fantastic, but
Sure.
as the introvert and audience, it's tough to get the new stuff out of authors like that. So good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That I at the end of every video, you know how you can have like another video come up for like
Yeah.
3 months after that. It was always the Jim
You just
Butcher
put that,
interview.
yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
don't go watch the other stupid ones. Watch that
Yeah,
one.
watch that one for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, that one's getting really good views too. When we were looking at your channel before the before we went live here, I was like, "Dang, yeah, he's getting a good bit of traction on it." So, once again, just huge congrats on that,
Thank you.
man.
I really appreciate it.
So, I'm thinking, if, I'm going to open the tier list and we're going to look at it in a bit here. But there was some characters, if you guys can think of any more characters you'd like to have on it, it literally takes me like 5 seconds to put it on screen, so just let me know. But there was characters like Hades, Faravax, and like the Svardelves that I was thinking about putting on there, but I'm like, we don't know enough about them yet, I think, to like classify them. So if there's anything I missed that you think that we have enough information on, just let me know.
I have an interesting one that I was gonna send you to because I thought
Yeah,
I was driving and then I forgot to after. And the main reason I'm picking this person is that they're just not Slytherin or Gryffindor, and it's Mortimer Lindquist.
I have him on
Oh,
there.
Oh,
Yes,
I
I
didn't even
put him
see
on
him.
there.
Let's go.
Yep, yep,
You're did you put
yeah.
him on there because you're like he won't be Slytherin or Gryffindor?
I was like, well, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. Oh,
Too many.
that'll be a fun discussion. That'll be a fun one.
There's some interesting ones though.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, if you guys have any more ideas of ones, just let me know. I can literally do it like within 10 seconds. It's super
Well, do
easy.
you want to? If you bring it up, then that'll make it easier.
Right. Well, first, let's go through a breakdown of what each Harry Potter house is, because I think that's important. We have like a general idea of what each house is. Like Gryffindor's the brave one, Slytherin's the bad one, and Hufflepuff is like the friendly one. But there was some interesting details that I found while doing a little bit of research. So I'm going to share this screen. Okay, so this is what Google says. And this is like Google's like AI overview. So Gryffindor is known for bravery, courage, and chivalry. Gryffindors are often seen as heroes and rebels and are most likely to engage in heroics. Their colors, yada yada yada. Slytherin is known for ambition, cunning, and resourcefulness. And I think this is important to remember for Slytherin because Slytherin is not necessarily bad guys. Like it would be really easy just to put all of the villains of the Dresden Files into Slytherin. But they're not they're not like necessarily bad guys, which we'll see on the next resource that I have here. But ambition, cunning, and resourcefulness. Ravenclaw is known for intelligence, creativity, and wit. Ravenclaws are often known for being eccentric, and many of the great wizarding inventors and innovators have come from this house.
The problem with it is there's most people who are Ravenclaw are smart enough to stay away from Harry Dresden.
Right? Yes.
Like they're just like Harry Dresden enters the room and they just leave the room.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, this room's gonna be on fire probably.
Yeah. Within like 30 minutes, it will be on fire.
Case
or
in
less.
point, Mike the mechanic. You never see him, but Ravenclaw to his bones.
Oh, the paramedic?
The dude who fixes the bug.
No, I'm saying we could also add the paramedic.
Oh, the black guy. Yeah,
he's hilarious. He's just like, every time Dresden comes up, he's just like, I've been staying away from your random.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Him and I can't remember if he's talking Battleground, but and you see him early too, like in the series. He's fantastic. I like those characters like that.
Yeah, the paramedic especially. I've really been interested to see if we're gonna see him in like later books, because he's he's been brought up enough times to where it's like he's gonna play some sort of role, right? Even if it's a small one, like he's gonna be there, right? Like I would think.
The foreshadowing was there in Battleground. He's got a part to play. Jim's got an idea.
Yeah, for sure. Hufflepuff is known for hard work, patience, and loyalty. Hufflepuffs are known for being modest, gentle, and kind.
Mouse.
I did not know their animal was a badger somehow.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, badger.
That's why this is not very good branding. Like,
I know. I know. Everybody else has a cool like eagle or a serpent or a lion, and Hufflepuff is like, yeah, we have a badger.
Badgers are cool.
Yeah, honestly, actually, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna stick up for badgers. Honey badger's cool. For those who read Redwall back in the day, badgers are the big badasses.
I just want to say, honey badgers should not be a representative of the nice house. No.
That's true.
Honey badgers should be.
Are
they vicious?
Dude, honey badger will fight off a grizzly
Wolverines.
Yeah, really? honey badgers are like.
They are
apparently vicious. Like their skin is super thick and light, and it's almost like knife proof. So like. When like a lion bites them and grabs their skin, it's so loose that they can just reach around and bite the lion back.
Yeah,
whoa.
They're vicious.
Yeah. They should be like, they're destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Badgers cooler than I thought, for sure.
Honey badgers, they're like the black staff. They're like Ebenezer should be a badger, but he's not Hufflepuff.
You're going too far.
Like the black staff of nature. Come on, it's valid.
All right, so then we have the wizardingworld.com. So this is straight from the source. Gryffindor house is where you would find the pluckiest and most daring students. There's a reason the house symbol is the brave lion. The house colors are scarlet and gold, and yada, yada, yada. If the sorting hat placed you here, you would have demonstrated qualities like courage, bravery, and determination. Some of the Wizarding World's best and brightest belong to this house. Harry Potter and Albus Dumbledore are just a couple that spring to mind. If you are lucky enough to end up in Gryffindor, we imagine you're the type of person who likes to stand up for the little guy, challenges authority, has a tendency to act first and think later.
I wonder who that could
be. is known as a class clown and takes board games very seriously.
What the heck?
Well, I don't know if
that's crazy.
I don't know if he canonically takes board games very seriously, but the other stuff, I think.
I mean, he does, right? Like Arcanos?
Oh, yeah.
He shows up to play that, whatever that role-playing game they did.
Yeah, in Day Off, but in fairness, he plays deliberately as a barbarian who doesn't have to think and just immediately attacks everyone. So he doesn't take that board too serious.
But he gets upset with, I think it's Billy, when they're not playing a mage the right way.
Yeah, he gets upset with the metaphysics of the fireball. He really puts the fireball like 21 feet in front, as one does with fireball in D&D. And he's like, that's not how fireballs work. It's just fire.
Right. Right.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, he's Gryffindor. Let's be real.
Yeah.
To be fair, once you reminded me Gryffindor is also about chivalry, it's kind of nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's
chivalrous people, the Weasley twins.
Right, yeah. Famously
True.
chivalrous.
Yeah. Fred and George, notorious.
I like how when I scroll up here, it's like, pick up your copy of Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. I don't know if any of you guys are playing this game, but it is so much fucking fun. Like, it is so good. Like, I don't know if you guys even, Gavin and Jake, do you guys even play video games very much?
Kind of. I play like the same 6 over and over again.
Okay.
No video games for me, but I've heard great things about the Harry Potter game. I got friends that play.
Yeah, it is. I've been playing it like nonstop for a couple weeks now, and I don't know if you guys ever played Rocket League, but it's like Rocket League on steroids. It's so cool. Okay, so then we got Slytherin. Slytherin House has an unfortunate reputation. While it is true that a lot of dark witches and wizards were sorted into Slytherin, not all who belong to this house are bad.
Setting the bar low here.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, there are a lot of excellent qualities in the sorting. A lot of excellent qualities that the Sorting Hat looks for in potential Slytherins, and Merlin himself even belonged to this misunderstood house. The house colors for Slytherin are silver and emerald green, and the emblem is a serpent. The head of house is Snape, and the common room, yada, yada, yada. Okay. If the Sorting Hat placed you in this noble house, then you are most likely ambitious, shrewd, and possibly destined for greatness. We can imagine you're the kind of person who is always one step ahead, has a dark sense of humor, thinks reputation is important, Harry, and takes pride in their appearance and doesn't let anybody see their soft side. So, just saying, a lot of those talk about Harry as well.
Is he? I mean, kind of.
He likes to look tough. He likes to always pretend he's in control.
Like, is he actually ambitious? I feel like he just ends up...
He's not ambitious. No. That's the one part where
he's shrewd sometimes. He's shrewd
like
once in Skin Game and once in Turncoat.
Turncoat, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, but compared to...
He's like 2 instances of shrewdness. He has like 6,000 instances of the Gryffindor qualities.
Yeah.
But in one way or another, even if it's by accident, he is always one step ahead. And he does have a dark sense of humor. He does think reputation is important.
Destined for greatness.
I mean, I think he's often one step behind, but has better fireballs. In fairness.
I mean, but he's always got an ace up his sleeve, though.
Yeah,
like he's always got like one more thing.
He usually just like comes out with the win sometimes.
He sometimes has an ace up his sleeve, but he always has either a gun in one hand and a sandwich in the other. Always.
And like he gets lucky a lot. It's not exactly like,
Sure.
Look at this is how he convinced Rashid that he wasn't deliberately causing things. He was like in Turncoat. He was like, does it really look like? I'm like, this is my master plan. And that's the book where he the most has a master plan. Well, no, Skin Game, he the most has a master plan. Game Over Man was pretty sick. Okay.
Yeah. Skin Game, that was...
But he hated doing that. Right? Like, this isn't like Mab or Marcone, who are like...
I mean, he only hated doing that because he had to work with Goodman Gray, I feel like.
I think he hated not being able to tell, like, Michael and Murphy and stuff like what's actually going on.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Plus, he hates Nicodemus, so...
That's right.
Yeah, well, who doesn't?
Fuck that guy. He doesn't take pride in his appearance, though.
No.
Like, at all.
And he does let people see his soft side.
Sometimes, yes. I think he mostly puts on, like, the sheriff visage.
Yeah, he puts on the tough side for most people, but anybody that gets close to him has seen Harry Dresden cry. It's just...
Right, for sure.
Is it Janosqua on our list? That's a pretty easy Slytherin pick, I think. Oh, is he? Yeah, shit.
River Shoulders.
Actually, I have River Shoulders. I don't have the Janosqua. I can put him on.
Janosqua's just like so evil. It's kind of
cartoonishly. Yeah.
Right.
Quick discussion.
I mean, he's almost
like
on
his soul.
Yeah, there's some characters in Dresden are unanimously evil. Like,
Yeah.
the Nagloshi is like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, we have Ravenclaw. If you are looking for the brainiest students, you would find them in Ravenclaw, with a couple of notable exceptions, like Hermione Granger, who should have been in Ravenclaw, in my opinion. The Ravenclaw colors are blue and bronze. The emblem is an eagle, yada, yada, yada. The Sorting Hat would only put you in this house if you demonstrated excellent wisdom, wit, and a skill for learning. Ravenclaws are often known for being quite eccentric, and most of the great wizarding inventors and innovators have come from this house. We can imagine that you would get to sit up in Ravenclaw Tower while surveying the excellent views if you're the type of person who analyzes everything, is an overachiever, can be described as away with the fairies, is not afraid to be an individual, and has a head stuffed full of interesting facts. Ooh.
At this point, I would like to ask if you have listens to Wind on the tier list.
I do.
Yep.
I do. Yep.
Another great character.
Yep. And we can come back and reference this, because I feel like this is a lot of like little buzzwords and stuff. Lastly, Hufflepuff is where you will find the most trustworthy and hard-working students. In fact, out of all the houses, Hufflepuff has produced the least number of dark witches and wizards. The badger is the symbol of this house. There is an idea that Hufflepuffs are the least clever of all Hogwarts students, but that is not true. Hufflepuffs are just the most humble of all the houses, and don't feel the need to shout about their achievements in the same way as the others. If you were lucky enough to be sorted into this house, we can imagine that you're the type of person who has a strong moral compass, always works hard, is the most loyal friend, knows it is the taking part that counts, and always has the best snacks.
It would honestly be kind of embarrassing if you were Hufflepuff and became a dark wizard. Like,
right? Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, you show up to the Death Eaters and they were like, I don't remember seeing you at Hogwarts. And that's the only school anyone goes to in this world.
Right.
And you'd be like, no, I was there. I think I was there like a year after you. And they were like, oh, what house were you in? I was in Hufflepuff. What are you doing here? Like,
bro, they have enjoy snacks on their list of qualities. Say no more.
I honestly think for every dark wizard that the Sorting Hats puts into Hufflepuff, he should get like fined, because it's like, you fumbled, man. Like, you're supposed to be good at this. You had one job.
Right.
I feel like it should be like King Killer. If you get sorted into Hufflepuff, your tuition should be a lot higher.
Right.
Okay, that's harsh, especially because you're going to be saying that to one
That's
Michael
true.
Carpenter,
Some characters
probably.
I love.
Yeah.
Waldo gets in for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we can leave, like, it'd be interesting if there's one that we can't agree on. There's like the quiz. What if we like took the quiz and tried to answer like the character would answer?
I'll open that in a separate tab, just in case.
Well, only if there's one that we can't agree on.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm opening the tier list. Here we go. So we have Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and then just as a wild card, we have Muggle. Who do we want to start with? Because I kind of don't want to start with Harry Dresden.
We can just get Harry out of the way, right?
I was gonna say let's pick a trajectory and stick with it as we move across this board, whichever way that is. Starting at the bottom left to right, moving a way up, starting at top right, whatever you guys want.
Okay. Well, we have this rando here, and if any of our viewers have ever seen like these Dresden Files tier lists, this picture is like always on them. And I have no idea who this is supposed to be. So if anybody's out there that can give me some information on who this girl is, please let me know. Yeah, what do you guys think? Where do you want to start?
Sure, I guess let's start from the bottom and do Harry last.
Okay. We have Vaterung.
Starting with a bit of a complicated one.
I mean, I feel like give up your eye for knowledge is pretty Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I would say Ravenclaw.
But,
that would be
like, he has a case for Slytherin for sure.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he has a case for
cunning, ambition, leadership. I mean, he is,
And this is just the Vadarong persona, right?
Or are we
I mean, do we
about...
also have Crinkle and Odin on there? I feel like it's one
Like,
it's one dude.
Yeah.
No,
Interesting. Yeah.
because Vadarong is definitely different vibes than old Chris Kringle.
Yeah, Chris Kringle would be more like Hufflepuff or something.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I don't know.
The Chris Kringle we get is a little murdery compared to
the Hunt.
It's true.
I feel like
I
it makes
think we
sense
treat him like Odin. If there's only one tile, we treat him like Odin.
I'd say Odin. I would probably
say Ravenclaw.
I think all three are part of who it is, but I reckon like Odin is the primary part of who he is.
For sure.
And I reckon we go Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, because I don't think he doesn't have like. I mean, I guess he has like ambition, but it's not.
And leadership, like as Odin, right? He is basically the god of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think of like he's very high tech too, in terms of like I guess he's not inventing stuff maybe, but I get a big Ravenclaw vibe.
He kind of just has to be cunning, but I think like the things he's more known for is his obsession with knowledge and wisdom.
And he's very super wise, and that's why Harry asks him, goes to him when he has a hard question, right?
That's true. That's a good point. Okay, I'm fine with Ravenclaw. And by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but also if we have time at the end of this, we can sort them within each row as to who would be the Ravenclaw head boy or prefect is what I mean. Or who would be like the most Ravenclaw ranked to the least Ravenclaw. So that might be interesting if we have time. Okay, so then we have Shiro.
Yeah.
Feel he has a case for two.
Yeah, I would.
Gryffindor, Hufflepuff.
Yep, that was going to be my two for sure.
He's so freaking heroic in my head, though. It's so hard not to go Gryffindor.
Yeah,
but he's got some big Hufflepuff vibes.
Yeah, I think he's probably more brave than he is kind.
Yeah,
and the courage that, I would probably say Gryffindor.
Unspeakable bravery. Honestly, it's tough. Like,
yeah, courage is a big word when it comes to Shiro.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd go Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's like he should be Hufflepuff, I get it. I feel like all three of the Knights of the Cross are kind of like going to be Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. We're obviously not there yet, but like the Michael, I feel is more Hufflepuff. Like I think the family stuff is more important to him than what we see with the Knight of the Crossing.
Great point.
But I reckon Gryffindor for sure.
Okay, yeah. I think Shiro has his Hufflepuff moments, but the sacrifice that he makes at the end of Death Masks, I think, is like kind of unparalleled, to be honest. Then we have Andy, the hot redhead werewolf. I mean, Hufflepuff, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say Hufflepuff.
I guess.
I feel like if you're in a thruple, the default has got to be Hufflepuff.
Yeah. Like you're very like open-minded and friendly and
very loyal.
Very loyal.
Okay.
Yeah?
I got no other ideas.
I mean, the only other case would be that generally like becoming a group of wolves that fights crime is a somewhat Gryffindor thing to do. But I think I'm good with Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling Hufflepuff for that one, for sure. Georgia Borden.
Oh, going way back.
Mm-hmm.
How
does she interact with Will?
Oh, Georgia. Sorry. Well, yeah. I forgot they got married.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia.
She always seems like kind of a. She's a rock, I guess, for him, and same with Harry. She's kind of always there. So, but I still don't know.
She's always welcoming.
Yep.
Sorry, Gabe, I cut you off.
No. I was just I'm thinking in my head. I was like saying what I said. I would lean towards Gryffindor, but there's arguments for Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
I guess I'd lean more Gryffindor. She feels more like...
Is she brave, though? Like, is she, like, leading the charge?
I kind of feel like her and Will kind of do. And
yeah,
I mean,
and there's times where she, like, steps up, you know, and might take control of a situation, but there's other times she doesn't. Will does it, or Harry does it.
Yeah.
But I think she has the potential, you know.
Yeah.
And I think generally, like, I guess Will is the one who does it the most, but consistently volunteering to, like, you know, turn into a wolf and help Harry fight is a pretty, like, insanely dangerous thing to do.
Sure.
But I don't feel super strongly about it.
I don't feel super strongly either. I would have to give her and Will probably Gryffindor, but
yeah. If you're lucky to end up in Gryffindor, we imagine you're the type of person who likes to stand up for the little guy, challenges authority, and has a tendency to act first and think later.
I mean, becoming a werewolf and fighting crime and supernatural things does kind of fit that description.
That's all them before even meeting Harry and getting hitched to his wagon.
That's true.
I think they got to be Gryffindor.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I think there's going to be a lot of characters that are Gryffindor.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We said before, there's selection bias because the Ravenclaws don't stay in the room with Harry.
Right, yeah. Odin, for example.
Yeah. He only does it because he's immortal enough that he could probably survive if the building was on fire.
Right, exactly.
And you know who doesn't want to stay in the room with Harry?
Mortimer Lindquist.
Which is why he's Ravenclaw.
He just goes straight to Ravenclaw, right?
Also, big old magic nerd.
Yeah. And I think...
a con man too, though.
Yeah. And I think he's interesting because he's certainly not Gryffindor. Like, he's as far away from Gryffindor as you could possibly get. But I think it's interesting looking at some of these other attributes. Like, you could almost say Slytherin in some ways, but he also, like, really doesn't have a ton of ambition. Like, he doesn't
he just wants to do his thing.
Yeah, like, he just kind of wants to be on his own and run his scams or whatever and not, like, interact with Harry.
And I think a lot of, like, he was running the scams not because he, like, wanted to, but because he felt like he had to. I think he was definitely, like, happier when he wasn't scamming people, which I feel like is kind of non-Slytherin. I feel like the Slytherin way of going is like, I'm getting ahead. Like, that's just what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I like Ravenclaw too, because think of every time Harry goes and sees Mort, it's always for information. It's always
he always learns something.
It's always an fact gathering mission in some respect.
Yeah. Okay. We have River Shoulders. I will add the Janosqua. But let me know here. I'll get the Janosqua ready. You guys talk about River Shoulders.
I would say Ravenclaw.
River Shoulders is an interesting one.
He kind of, I mean, he could be kind of all of them except Slytherin.
Yeah.
Like, they really, really aren't particularly ambitious. Like, they want to do their own thing. He is smart.
But also think, like, most of his kind are all reclusive Sasquatch types wandering the forest.
He's going out.
He's going out teaching Injun Joe. He's offering to teach Harry. He's mixing up and stuff.
Like, in Battleground, when Harry charges forward at the start of the battle, the person who goes with him is River Shoulders.
Yeah, I lean Gryffindor, honestly.
I think on the Sasquatch standard, he's definitely Gryffindor. By the human standard, you could put him Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw as well.
See, I was gonna say, you guys don't think Hufflepuff.
That was my first instinct, but then I was like, oh yeah, he could be Ravenclaw, and then I was like, actually, maybe he's Gryffindor.
Yeah, but also think of him jumping off that freaking wall and charging after Harry. I don't know. I think arguments can be made for all.
I mean, even by the human standard, he could be Gryffindor. This is actually probably a good thing to establish for the non-human characters. Does it matter if it's relative to their own species? Because, like, for a Sasquatch, he's definitely Gryffindor, I feel.
Okay. Yeah, what was he doing in Battleground? I forget a lot of his.
Oh, I mean, he was just charging into the fray with Harry when, like, Harry, everyone else was stand back, and they were like, "Don't charge in, Harry. We need to hold back." And Harry saw, like, people dying.
He jumped off a roof, and then River Shoulders was right behind him and helped him.
And then ahead of him because he's a little quicker.
Fight those things, whatever they were called.
Yeah, there's like a pack of 13, and every time you killed one, the rest of them get stronger until there's one super powerful one. That's
right. What was he doing in the short stories? Do you guys remember how he was acting in those?
I mean, he hired Harry to help with his kid.
Yeah, help with the son a couple different times.
Because he can't really go into society. And then one time he 1v20'd a bunch of ghouls, and it did not go well for the ghouls. He pulled the old, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Yeah.
Threw a car through a second-story window, I think, as I recall. Something like that.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, Gryffindor it is. We do have the Genosqua.
Now, not all Slytherins are evil, but most of the people are Slytherin.
Yeah, I would say Slytherin would be definitely ambitious in his evil doings, very cunning, very resourceful. It would, I'd say it'd fit the bill.
When you have the name translation to, Gabe said it earlier, I can't remember, but it's hard to argue against.
Yep, blood on his soul.
Blood on his
soul. Ambitious and shrewd. Always one step ahead, has a dark sense of humor, thinks reputation is important. I think that fits him because he was like hiding for a long time just to make himself like people were getting
more
worried,
mysterious and more like, fearful of him. Yeah,
right. He doesn't exactly take pride in his appearance, but he definitely doesn't
have different standards for Sasquatch than we do.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair. He doesn't let anyone see his soft side.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't even know if he has a soft side.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have a soft side.
Right.
Or what if he does and he just doesn't let anyone see it?
That's true.
Yeah, he just goes home at the end of the day and knits.
He found his soft side under the pile of rocks caving into him in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Man. Okay. Slytherin. That was such a good scene, by the way, when Harry, because he's like smaller, he's able to more nimbly like navigate the ice blocks that are like in the room that are like flying all over the place, and it like completely messes up like
his
momentum.
Advantage of Winter Night
and the winter. Yeah, that's a thing too. Yeah. All right, we have Arthur Langtree, aka the current Merlin of the White Council. This will be a very interesting one.
I think, like his namesake in Harry Potter, Slytherin is my first instinct. I can see the case for Ravenclaw.
Same.
But I think he is more focused on cunning than he is on
and research. Leadership, of course, too. He's been leading the White Council.
I don't think we actually see him do that much that is like research or like science or like wizard research the same way for others. So I kind of feel Slytherin pretty confidently.
Do you think that he's super ambitious, or do you think that he honestly has the best interest of the White Council in mind?
I think he does have the best interest of the White Council in mind, but like is also very ambitious. Like I don't know if those are mutually exclusive. He definitely likes being in charge, I think.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's better at it than other people.
Which I feel like is pretty. Yeah, I think that's where the difference of opinion is, because I think, I think he is in his own thoughts doing what's best, and I think he believes that. Whereas to somebody else like Harry, maybe it doesn't look that way, or maybe it seems like there could be an ulterior motive. But I'd probably go Slytherin for him. My vote.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. All right. We have Lord Wraith, Thomas's dad.
Slytherin.
Can anyone make a case at all for something other than Slytherin?
I know, right? I was just thinking that. Yeah, I think he pretty confidently goes.
Rashid is an interesting one, though.
Mm-hmm. Is he next? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Rashid. He's like line for line one of my favorite characters in this series.
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah, so the tough thing about him is we don't really know a lot about him. I'm sure he's very learned and could easily fit in Ravenclaw. But I don't know much about his ambitions. He is cunning, I think. and he's usually like one step ahead.
Yeah.
Because it's been mentioned several times that it seems like he can see into the future or is traveling back from the future or something.
He's one of the people who you can kind of make a case for all four.
I know.
Like, he's pretty just and like, I kind of think of him as he is the Charizard to Harry's Charmeleon.
Yeah.
And kind of like a wiser, more subtle, like, evolution of Harry, who's been, doing this against outsiders for centuries.
Could it be said that he possibly is Harry?
Some people
there's some slight visual differences and religious beliefs that are different, but that's
and skin tone.
Yeah, but form changing is a thing, and we know that Harry is going to be trained in form changing by Listens to Wind. That's been talked about.
That'd be an interesting switch if Harry suddenly started like, because Rashid the Muslim, which is would be an interesting character arc for Harry to go on.
Yeah.
He's there's alternate dimension Harry. Maybe he's an alternate dimension. No, I think he's just Rashid. I think you can make a pretty good case for all four. So we could do the funniest thing ever and say he's a Muggle.
Ooh.
I personally think he's an OG Starborn and very, very similar to Harry type vibes. I think if we knew everything about Rashid,
that's probably true.
We'd be leaning Gryffindor, but because he's so much off screen, like other than him being in charge of the outer gates, which is, I guess you don't have to be ambitious to get that job, but you need to be, it's quite the responsibility. So I don't know. My instinct is either Ravenclaw or Gryffindor.
Yeah,
I like the case for Gryffindor that we see him in his more Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff moments, but if we followed his life, there'd be a lot more like desperate bravery, and we'd see him acting like kind of more like Harry does.
Yeah.
You think?
I like that case for Gryffindor.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about Morgan. Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I leave Gryffindor. But it's tough because you don't really see Gryffindor type shit from Rashid.
You don't. I really think Ravenclaw, like whenever I see Rashid, it's like, oh, he's, extremely intelligent. He knows more than anybody thinks he can know, and he's super wise.
He's very humble as well. He honestly he could be Hufflepuff. Like he seems very humble. Like he has a super important job that he's kind of subdued about. He's just kind of whatever, doing the thing.
Yeah, it's all about Hufflepuff's a lot about loyalty. Like, do you think? When you think Rashid, do you think loyalty? Like he doesn't join council meetings. He's kind of doing.
I think
thing.
I think
he's on the Grey Council,
and he's not.
That's just because he has a more important job, though.
He's not even loyal really to Harry. Like he's challenged Harry a number of times. Like, I'll kill you right now if you're a dark wizard. Like,
I feel like
he's not even loyal to the White Council because he's in the Grey Council, which is.
I feel like he's loyal to humanity because his job is
that's such a poor.
Anyway, let's go Ravenclaw. I like Ravenclaw.
I personally lean Ravenclaw as well because I think we're experiencing the story through Harry's point of view, and anytime he's going to Rashid, it's like a wealth of information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see a case for all four. So if you guys like Ravenclaw, I'm good with it.
Okay. All right.
We don't know if I want a Rashid short POV short story so much, but we're never gonna get it because he knows too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Give me a epilogue or something.
Right? Give me something.
Give me Stormlight style interludes in the big apocalyptic trilogy, and give me a Ratchet interlude.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah, because the first person you need those. I wonder if Jim will start doing that after so many books.
I know.
I asked him about that in the interview. I was like, maybe some Harry point of view prologues and epilogues, because you write really good epilogues.
Didn't he say yes?
He kind of was like, "That's interesting."
Oh, okay.
Because I think he doesn't fully know how much he's going to switch it up. But I would love it if he did that.
Yeah, yeah.
What would be the attributes of House Dresden if he starts a fifth Hogwarts house?
That would be snark.
For sure. A Gryffindor splinter organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a more snarky, maybe instead of like a lion, like a really beat up lion. Like a lion that's because he's got like the bravery thing, but not in a majestic hear me roar way, like a I didn't hear no bell way. You know,
he would be. What's like a really scrappy animal? Dresden would be like a wolf, right? Like a super
he could be
beat
a honey
up
badger,
wolf, like
or a bear cat. Yeah, honey badger
Yeah.
or bear cat for sure.
Yeah, he could be like a badger. Or steal from Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. He could be a honey badger for his house.
There you go.
And yeah.
Or he could be like some abominable amalgamation of like a lion and a cat, or a lion and a badger or something. I don't know.
Just like a really beat up lion, like one eye.
Yeah.
Just totally beat up, but still standing.
It's got like half a leather duster for some reason.
Oh yeah.
All right. So then we have Wild Bill.
I like Wild Bill.
Yeah.
I'm having, I guess, Gryffindor?
I guess Gryffindor too. I was thinking Ramirez, which I can make an argument against Gryffindor, but yeah, for Wild Bill's got to be Gryffindor.
I mean, both stood up
what we know.
Cool. That's I don't know the case for him for any of the other three. Kind of by default. He's not that like substantial. We don't get that much on Wild Bill.
Yeah. I was thinking the only other one I could think of was like Hufflepuff, because he seems to be loyal, especially to Dresden. Like even when all the stuff is happening in like Battleground and stuff, he's like still sticking by Dresden. And Dresden like calls him specifically for information whenever the council isn't telling him something. But he also does that with Ramirez. So
Ramirez, I'm going to make the case for Hufflepuff, but because like when we hear about Wild Bill, it's like, oh, Wild Bill off in Texas, like Lone Ranger doing his own thing. I don't know, like that's kind of my impression of Wild Bill.
I have kind of the same impression. Like he is Hufflepuff because everyone has qualities from some, but I feel like more Gryffindor.
Okay.
Like he's like the it's like I'll stand up to all the monsters, whatever. Yeah,
right.
I reckon Gryffindor.
He's kind of like the Texas version of like Dresden Light.
Kind of becoming It's
That's fair. Margaret Le Fay.
Oh, actually, wait. Going back, what if Wild Bill is a Muggle because he would have just shot Voldemort?
Ooh. He would have just shot.
You can't do my boy Wild Bill like that.
Nah, okay, that's fair. Actually, we can do that for Kincaid. When we get to Kincaid, it'd be like, oh, there's this Voldemort guy. Yeah, I have a high-powered rifle. Like Battle of Hogwarts, just splat.
That's so true. Oh, Kincaid will be interesting. Okay.
And then Kincaid would be like, oh, he has Horcruxes. He'll come back later. Anyway, let me know when he comes back.
Yeah,
I'll shoot him again.
I'll shoot him again. That's great. Do you think that Voldemort would have been killed with a bullet?
I think it would have been like Horcrux things, where it would have been like the same thing that happened to him at the start of like when his thing got reflected on himself when he tried to kill baby Harry. It definitely inconvenienced him.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Margaret Le Fay.
Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Ravenclaw?
Most knowledgeable person. Like her entire thing is the knowledge of the ways, I think.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't the description of the Ravenclaw like
vicious?
There was like a fairy-esque or something description you had of Ravenclaw in there.
You're right. Yeah. What was that? Let me find that real quick. That was Sorting Hat. We imagine that you would get to sit up in Ravenclaw Tower while surveying the excellent views if you're the type of person who analyzes everything, is an overachiever, can be described as away with the fairies.
Yeah.
Is not afraid. Is not afraid to be an individual and has a head stuffed full of interesting facts. Ooh.
Yep. I think that's a winner.
Person knows where the entirety of the ways. I feel like that's
That's interesting. The only other case that I would make is Slytherin, because she seemed pretty like shrewd and ambitious and destined for greatness, kind of, when it came to like her political maneuverings within the Fae and like the magical community. She was kind of always like wheeling and dealing and and making moves.
I can kind of see it, but I feel like all the Slytherin qualities are a lot more like us speculating, and most of what we know about her, like for sure,
that's fair,
is pretty heavy.
She spent a good amount of time with Lord Wraith.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, I definitely think Ravenclaw.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. Chandler, aka Steed.
Which was the well-dressed one?
Yeah, he's the well-dressed one with the British accent that like Lucio entrusts him.
Which house is the one that cares about their appearance?
Slytherin for sure cares about appearance, but I also kind of wonder if he's Hufflepuff because
that makes sense.
Yeah,
he's loyal to Dresden and Lucio.
And he kind of feels like he's the glue person in the Wardens.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of keeps things together.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like who you send when people are mad at each other. He's like who you send to like iron things out.
Yeah.
I like Hufflepuff, yeah.
He's very friendly.
Let's put Steed in. Let's put Chandler in Hufflepuff.
Okay. Everybody else?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good call.
By the way, I couldn't find like a picture of him. Like there was no like fan art or anything. And so I just had to look up young British guy in a bowler hat. All right, listens to wind. Injun Joe.
Cool.
Where does he go?
I think like he's the medicine man primarily, and he kicks the ass, beats the shit out of Nagloshi as his side job. So I think more Ravenclaw, because I think his like search for like knowledge and medicine is probably the more important part of who he is.
Yeah.
Even if it's the part we see less in the worst weekend of Harry's years.
Yeah.
And if you think of like what his story is, his backstory is like failing his people. I guess can't really see the case for Gryffindor as much.
Okay, interesting.
But no Slytherin vibes.
No. What if it just turned out that Listens to Wind was like the big bad of the series? There was just a huge heel turn.
Be pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Like, that's one
that would suck, honestly.
Yeah, that's one that won't happen.
He was an outsider the whole time.
And Jim, that's how anytime there's a theory, I'm like, if I read that, it would make the book bad. So Jim probably won't do it because he'll make the book good.
Right. Okay.
It's just like the least foreshadow. I'd be like, anyway, I think Ravenclaw. Hey, look at that. Ravenclaw outnumbering Gryffindor. It's because it's more of the minor characters that you started with.
I would kind of lean Hufflepuff over Ravenclaw if it listens to win. I guess.
I know.
Well, smart. No, because he's really good at like normal, not magic medicine too, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and he goes
like
he goes and like gets like goes to university every like couple decades to get all involved in like all the new stuff. He's gonna be like teaching Harry stuff. I mean Hufflepuff is the one I think that's the second best case for.
Yeah, no, thinking about it more, I like Ravenclaw.
Gabe, when you think of Listens to Wind, what characteristics do you think of, or like what do you like remember most about him from the series? Is there any like scenes or anything
other than his badass shape-changing fight with Nagloshi, which
shape-changing fights, of course, is freaking awesome. I mean, I always just remember him as being kind of this wise old man that knows more than he lets on. Very fair, very kind. So yeah, I mean, I would say Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw. I'm probably 50-50 on the two, so I'm happy with you.
Same. Yeah.
All right, I'll put in a vote for Ravenclaw, but I'm not mad if you put it Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with Ravenclaw. I think that fits him just as well as. I think he has some of each.
Yeah. I think that's fair. That's a tough split. That's
just
probably
a dash of Gryffindor.
Yeah. That's probably the toughest split we've had, or at least the most split I've been on a character, because I think he could also like very easily go into Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
But like Jake says, he's very knowledgeable of medicines, both magical and otherwise.
And he reveres learning. It's like something that's very important to him. Learning and teaching.
Right.
Yeah.
Teaching,
I see Hufflepuff because like obviously he's very patient as well. Yeah. But like you asked, like, what do you think of? I would think of Wise as the describer. I'd think of him first.
Yeah.
before the others.
Yep, I agree.
That's really cool though.
Yeah.
Also, before we go to the next one, I guess out of another character which I don't think is on the list, but I think is a perfect candidate for the Muggle category.
Okay. Which
is Crazy Gary. Because he's on the Paranet and he's just firing off emails, lurking online.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'd also have a case for Ravenclaw, though.
Paranoid
He
Gary
absolutely has a case for Ravenclaw. I think, realistically, if we knew more about Gary, well, who the hell knows? But I guess Crazy Gary's a fun character.
Yeah.
Or Paranoid Gary, whatever they call him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You guys talk about Fort Hill. He's next.
Hufflepuff.
Oh yeah, Hufflepuff to his bones.
Yeah.
Loyal to the Lord.
Yeah, that's right. Extremely patient.
Uriel's kind of hard to categorize because he's a little absolute, you know.
In Harry's word, God's wetworks man, I think is how Harry described him.
He's very cunning, but it's hard to be ambitious when you're like the fourth most powerful being, and like he's already kind of there's not very many promotions possible for Uriel, you know.
Yeah,
he doesn't have upward mobility in his job. He should be
upward mobility. Yeah, Fort Hill for Hufflepuff makes sense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I don't know.
I don't even think there's a case for not Hufflepuff.
You don't think there's a case for anything else?
I think he has shown bravery and courage, like when he went after that 2-bit sorcerer guy or whatever. But that's only one time.
Yeah,
you know?
That's just one time.
Yeah.
Like his core values are pretty Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your Paranoid Gary? That's fantastic.
Yeah. Paranoid Gary goes in the
I'm making a case for him for Ravenclaw.
For Ravenclaw?
Yeah, like he's extremely eccentric and he's like super smart. He spends all his days like researching random stuff. And what was the line about Ravenclaw has a bunch of random facts? He's like, boat sales are up 300% today.
Yeah.
Like,
and Ravenclaw's like sitting up in the tower surveying everything. Like that's kind of his view.
Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, definitely Ravenclaw.
Dang it, I wanted to have one in Muggle.
I was trying to think of one, and that was as close as I could get.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Muggle isn't really a category.
Yeah. Okay, Paranoid Gary.
What the hell do we do with Uriel?
I don't know, because I think the most we've seen of Uriel is undoubtedly in Skin Game.
Oh, yeah.
And when he's in that book, he's like scared. He's not quite himself, but he is... He's not like... He's not loyal to Dresden, but he's kind of loyal to Michael.
Well, he's loyal. Yeah, he's loyal to the value of choice. That's his entire thing, right?
Yeah.
And Michael is also very respectful of that value, and Michael's been his champion forever. And so he was like, I wanted to do what I can within my boundaries, within my limits, and this was all I could think of.
Right.
Or all he could do. So, but I don't know. He's
so hard to categorize.
Yeah, any one of these.
Yeah, I don't know.
Potentially work. He might be just one that's just maybe
the
not
most
possible.
non-Muggle gets put in Muggle.
Yeah,
Sure, put in Muggle. That's funny.
I like that too.
Yeah, I mean,
he does transcend them. Like he is.
Yeah.
No, Harry even says it. He can. Like Harry says, like, careful, this guy can unmake worlds, and then he's actually like, no, realities.
Like,
he's like, whoa, holy crap.
Yeah, like he is absolute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that he's probably brave when he's in his full form.
I mean,
the bravery is
wanted to fight in the battle in Skin Game. They just wouldn't let him because he does have the bit where he comes from the shadows and like kills the dude.
Yeah.
And it was pretty badass.
That was so sick. That was so sick.
Giving Michael his mantles, like, arguably one of the most brave things he's ever seen. Imagine having that amount of power and giving it away, making yourself mortal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Gave him his grace, man.
Grace.
If anything, most of the time, it's hard for him to be brave because he has no opportunity to feel fear because he's so much more powerful than everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and plus he's all knowing, just like, you know, like he just knows everything, right?
Well, I think we have to treat him like when he didn't have his grace and he was Muggle. He was bringing around bandages.
Yeah, that's true.
He was quintessential Muggle.
Yeah.
That's
quintessential Muggle. What does quintessential Muggle even mean?
I don't know.
Quintessential mortal. Yeah.
Yeah, mortal. I think it's funny to have him in Muggle.
I agree.
I think if I I think if I were to make like a hard and fast case for him, I think I would land mostly in Hufflepuff. But I think like you said, all of these except for like Slytherin, I feel
It's
like
hard
he
to be
really
ambitious
fits
at that
into.
point.
Yeah.
As I said, no upward mobility in his job.
Right.
You know?
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
We'll leave him there. That is definitely the funniest choice. Who is this?
This is Justin Dumorn.
Throw him in Muggle because it's funny, and who gives a shit? We barely know him. He's Slytherin. Whatever.
Yeah, not a lot of discussion on this one, I don't think.
Yeah.
Rose barely a character.
Yeah, he's got to be Slytherin.
He was trying to figure out the word of Kemler and stole Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Slytherin. He's extremely ambitious and cunning, and he's also a bad guy. So whatever.
Right. Yeah. Charity Carpenter.
I mean, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff are the two candidates, but I think she's more brave than she is nice. She's pretty loyal. Like, she's incredibly loyal, but she also expresses that loyalty through bravery a lot of the time, not through.
See, I think
humbleness.
I think we're saying Gryffindor just because of what we see in Proven Guilty. But I think that's not really her most of the time. Like, I think most of the time she's like at home with the kids, very, very loyal to Michael, very like housewarming. Well, except to Harry.
Have we?
Yeah, except for Harry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's not like in the perspective of Harry. She's not particularly like.
She gets there though.
She does.
My vote is Hufflepuff, honestly.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I'm willing to hear other offers. I just think that most of the time she's at the home taking care of.
Is she
everybody.
Patient or fair though? Like, is she someone where it's like that person that really sees people like she's pretty like.
Yeah,
kind
she
of
thinks
unfair
emotionally.
A lot of time?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And like, I don't know if I just have like the Harry Potter fandom wiki up and looking at traits. And I feel like if I look at Gryffindor of like determination, bravery, courage, chivalry, nerve, daring, or loyalty, just, hardworking, patience, fairness, modesty, I can see the case for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, like, let's put it this way. She has some non-Hufflepuff traits.
Sure.
Does she have non-Gryffindor traits? Like, do you look at any of the Gryffindor ones and it's like, nah, that's not.
I just think we haven't seen them like displayed enough. Like, I just think the Gryffindor traits are probably there, but we've only really seen it displayed in like Proven Guilty and a little bit of like Small Favor.
Skin Game.
What's she doing in Skin Game?
Fight. I mean, doesn't she like try and she tries to run out and Harry tries to like throw her the sword and she charges Nicodemus and then Butters ends up catching the sword because she fumbles with it. But the girl tries to charge Nicodemus one-on-one. Like,
wasn't she just like kneeling in the grass and the sword bounced off of her?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's still like she's confronting Nicodemus. I don't know, like
she's out there and that's brave. Just being out there.
It's like, yeah, you know, she's not getting attacked as often as Harry is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, she's kind of standoffish and harsh to Harry.
But also she took in Harry's child.
Kind of harsh to Molly as well at times.
Yeah, that's also true. But still unconditional love. I don't know. I have no strong feelings.
Like, if you guys really want to put it in Hufflepuff, it's fine. But I think
I'm gonna put it to a vote, and maybe so that it's not like a four-way split, I'll take myself out of the equation and let the three of you cast a vote, and whatever that ends up being, we'll put it there. So just say whatever house you think, starting with Gabe.
I'll go Hufflepuff. Gavin's gonna be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, he's the tiebreaker, to be honest.
I'll go with, you know, when I think Charity, I think
what if he said Slytherin?
She hung out with an evil wizard for a while. I don't know.
Sure.
She was getting up to some no good back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think like, I don't know. She's making Michael's armor. What does that mean? Nothing really. I don't know. I like Gryffindor.
Okay.
Gryffindor it is.
And Who is this next person?
This is Captain Lucio, Anastasia Lucio.
Gryffindor? Thoughts?
Yeah? I'm trying to think if I can make an argument for anything else.
I feel like the fact that you have to
Maybe
think
Slytherin,
about whether you can make an argument for something else.
Well, I have to think through all the attributes, like Ravenclaw. Like obviously they're very smart and wise. I feel like she can be like she knows how to make those swords that nobody else knows how to make.
Like most people, if you get to the age of 200 and something, should in some ways be wiser. Like think of the young Lucio from the short story. Which is totally like an even exaggerated. She's like Wild West gunslinger.
Yeah, the one
fighting like Kemmler.
Right.
Like
I gotta reread that one. I think that's a good one.
It's fun. It's not. And she's like talking shit to her sentient horse. That's an animal that she like wrestled with, and now it has to be a horse for she's Gryffindor. Like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Dude, speaking of which, where do we read? Is it Briefcases? That's the second thing. Where is Briefcases? Is that after Skin Game or is that in between
after
Peace
Skin
Talks?
Game?
Okay.
The latest stuff chronologically in that is Zoo Day and Jury Duty and Day One, which all take place in between Skin Game and Peace Talks.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Lucio Gryffindor?
I feel pretty strongly. This is one of the ones where I think it's hard to make a good case for the other ones. You can always make a case, but I just think those cases are kind of bad.
Gavin or Gabe, what do you guys think of when you think of Lucio? Any specific scenes or anything, either of you?
Well, I always think back to the body change stuff, which is kind of makes it a little bit more confusing. But I don't know, Lucio. I have no real strong opinions on Lucio, to be honest with you. I lean Gryffindor, but
also I just think if you're getting into the 200s and you're like a Ravenclaw, you don't become the captain of the Wardens.
I was going to say she's not just a warden; she's captain of the Wardens.
Yeah.
I would say Gryffindor. I did. There are a couple attributes for Slytherin, but she's probably more Gryffindor than she is Slytherin.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so then we got Ramirez, Carlos Ramirez. What is he?
I vote Hufflepuff.
He wasn't, I mean, yeah, it gets interesting when we get into Battleground though, right? Because I want to say that he's extremely loyal to Harry, but I think that even in Battleground, he still was, but Harry was just fucking him around. Like, I think if Harry had been honest with him, he would have still been loyal to Harry.
Yeah, I mean, he did kind of fuck around with Harry partially first, but also, like, we're biased in favor of loyal to Harry because we see the world through Harry, but his first loyalty is to the White Council, which he is quite loyal to.
Yeah. And to, like, the laws of magic.
He does... He's pretty, like... in some ways brazenly brave, especially when we see him in like Deadbeat with like the riding the T-Rex.
Yeah. Or White Knight.
Yeah.
That duel in White Knight is one of my favorite action scenes in the entire series. People look at me like I'm crazy, but I think
pretty
it's
sick.
So sick.
That's just such a high bar.
Yeah.
Like, favorite action scenes, I'm like, okay, so like Battleground.
Yeah.
Like the end
all of Battleground.
Like the end of Changes is pretty damn sick. The mid-book climax and Skin Game.
Yeah.
Nicodemus. The end of Cold Days is pretty sick. Small Favor on the Island is pretty sick.
They all have like a big...
Loshi is pretty sick. Sue and Deadbeat is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a high bar. Anyway, Ramirez...
Gabe, real quick, I'm curious what Gabe's is. When you think of like your favorite action scene from the Dresden Files, is there one single one that pops to mind?
There's probably not one single one, but I would say the whole sequence in Changes, and then the fight with Vlad or whatever the dude's name is in Battleground. would be my two.
If I had to take one, I'd take the like nearing the end battleground with like when between like Mab and Ethnu, where we get like 7, where Jim is just dropping bars everywhere. And it's just like there's like you got the numbers stand 1 Mab to none. That advantage will be sufficient. You've got like her getting blasted with the Eye of Ethnu, and Jim's just dropping bars describing that. I don't even want to misquote it. I'm pretty sure I quoted my Battleground review, so I can find it extremely quickly. It's got like the bit where like Molly shows up blasting "Welcome to the Jungle"
with all the
and then it's got a line that's just goes so hard of like where the Four are struggling to maneuver. And it's just like, under the ocean, we'd be screwed. But this was a land of air and darkness. Got a line in that fury. She was a shadow, an outline, dark and terrible and undeniable, standing against the tide, unmoving. So I'll take that one.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's a great one. I think another one of my favorites that's actually really similar to the one in White Knight is the one in Changes where he's fighting, is it Ariana? And they're like
the
dueling.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Moo. And he like, Moo. And he like pulls like the air around her and then turns it into ice and just like, oh man, that was so good. And he pulls the earth down on her. Oh man.
I'll add the climax of Cold Days, specifically sick. The fight with what's his face
on
Summer
the water.
Fix.
The
Fix fight when he goes Ice Claws and full Winter Night.
Yeah, that was sick.
It's a high bar for
There's so many
Ramirez.
Ramirez.
Gryffindor. I'm undecided, so I'll let you guys vote.
I vote Hufflepuff. I think. I think he's more. I mean, he's brave. He's like brazenly brave. But I also like if I were to look at Hufflepuff. Let's see.
I feel like
It's where.
Sorry, go ahead, Spencer.
It's where you will find the most trustworthy and hard-working students. In fact, out of all the houses, Hufflepuff has produced the least number of dark witches and wizards, and I don't think he would ever become like a dark. I mean, that's a low bar, but let's see. There is an idea. Hufflepuffs are just the most humble of the houses, which doesn't really fit him.
Yeah. Because like the thing where it's like the people might think that they're the least smart. They just won't say how smart there is. Is there a person who says how smart he is more than Ramirez in the Dresden Files?
I know.
It does say that made me more convinced he's Gryffindor, and actually now I am taking a side.
It does say the type of person who has a strong moral compass, always works hard, is the most loyal friend, and knows that it is the. I don't know what this means. It is the taking part that counts.
Whatever. I mean, he's kind of like loyal, and I guess he works hard on his magic, probably. But I don't know.
I think he works hard in his like sheriffing of LA or whatever.
I've now decided he's more brazenly courageous. And you reading the description for Hufflepuff, I'm like, bro is maybe the least humble character in the Dresden Files.
That's fair.
My response to that would be. He's a virgin. He goes in Hufflepuff.
Oh.
How about the courage to talk that much shit about your sexual exploits when you're a virgin? That's
what really sucks is that even after Cold Case, he's still a virgin.
Oh, he's gonna be. It's not gonna be.
Now he has trauma to get.
Yeah, now he's got trauma. He's gonna have a hard time getting over it.
We're struggling.
Yeah. Gabe Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which just a quick point is one of the reasons I don't blame him as much in peace talks with Harry, because like Harry doesn't know what Molly did to him whatsoever, and they know they're thick, and he's like, even if I trust Harry, it's just like I also trust Molly, and she did this to me because the Winter Power.
And Harry's also Winter,
and so it's just like I emphasize with.
That's why I think it's important to read Cold Case before peace talks. I think it reframes a lot of.
Yes, that is a good point.
Anyway, Lara Wraith.
Wraith.
I know, like, the bad guys aren't inherently Slytherin, but, like...
But dear God.
But
dear God. Oh.
Like, we can just put her in Slytherin and move on,
that's easy.
Yep.
I cannot argue myself into like any other house because when we read Slytherin, what was the thing that specifically stood out to me?
Ambitious.
Yeah.
Cunning.
Ambitious.
Resourceful.
Yeah.
Shrewd.
Every single
shrewd. Just
destined for greatness.
She's like, she could found the house. If you had House Lara, it would just be Slytherin.
Yeah. She's the prefect,
she's
right?
Honestly more Slytherin than Lord Wraith, because I think she
she outdid Lord Wraith for sure. We can imagine you're the kind of person who is always one step ahead, has a dark sense of humor, thinks reputation is important, takes pride in their appearance, and doesn't let anybody see it. Like, it is such a slam dunk.
Yep.
When I think Slytherin, I think Lara and Mab.
Yeah. She's got to be the head of the house, right? You would think? Or either that or Merlin.
I think there might be a certain Queen of Air and Darkness who might show up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Although
I'm going to point out that I actually think Mab has a pretty reasonable case for a Gryffindor that's just been beat out of her over 1,000 years because of how like diabolical her job is. But
that's fair.
We're going to leave that for later, and I'll get back to it.
Yeah, same as Lloyd Slate. Just kidding.
Mouse is Slytherin, obviously.
Nope. Hufflepuff.
Sure. He's Hufflepuff. No, don't put him.
Better not put him there, dude.
He's not
I'll leave right now.
I'm leaving.
Right now.
Bye, guys. Have a good day, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video.
Hufflepuff prefect for sure.
Yeah,
he's head boy. Head boy.
He's head boy.
Best boy.
He's the head best boy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think a case could be made for Gryffindor, but I mean, he's a dog. He's Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff all the way.
Yeah.
Support team.
Sonya.
It's the same as the other knights. It's like Gryffindor or Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
I think my opinion is
I would say Gryffindor for Sonya personally.
Me too.
Okay.
I think so as well. Is my instinct.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
He doesn't
he's got the sordid
to me,
past
the thing that makes Michael Hufflepuff compared to the other Knights of the Cross is he's got such of the familial connections and friendships.
Yeah, Sonya's kind of on his
friends
own.
with Harry, but I feel like Sonya doesn't help Harry because he's specifically loyal to Harry. He helps Harry because it's just like the right thing to do, and he's generally brave.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. Molly Carpenter.
So this is the one that I've had the most trouble with thinking up to. I don't know where to put Molly.
I think I can make a pretty strong case for Hufflepuff.
Interesting.
She always has the best snacks. She's always feeding Harry, always cooking for him. She is extremely loyal.
She's extremely more likely to become a dark wizard than a lot of Hufflepuffs, and she did plant nightmare, and for good reason.
Yeah,
I think she has a case for Slytherin. I think she has a case for the first good guy in Slytherin.
Me too.
But she's not like ambitious.
I guess she kind of becomes the Winter Lady by accident.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
She has a case for Ravenclaw too. Like she kind of she uses in her short story trigonometry for her spell to figure it out, and she is kind of a huge nerd. Yeah. And I think sometimes hides how smart she is for Harry because she doesn't want Harry to be self-conscious about his intelligence.
Yeah. He even says like she's got an instinct for the more like refined magic, for like the very like technical. I don't think there's a case for her with Gryffindor. I think it's either Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff, but I personally vote Hufflepuff because she is without a single doubt in my mind, she is the most loyal person in the entire series. Like
Michael and Mouse is who I would like to respond to that with.
But Molly is like infatuated with Harry. Like,
is Molly loyal to Harry or she's in love with Harry? I like both. That's kind of
Like I think that the fact that she's in love with Harry comes with the inherent like deep loyalty.
I'm going to make the case that pretty much anyone who's like had really in love with someone is going to be loyal to the person. And while we see the world from Harry's eyes, loyalty to non-Harry people, like each non-Harry person your loyalty to them is as important as your loyalty to the Harry from the perspective of what house you're in. And that Molly is not as specifically loyal generally as people like Mouse or Michael. And like, I don't think of it as like,
I see what you're saying.
As like she is the trait of a generally incredibly loyal person. Not saying she's like disloyal or underhanded, but that she's loyal to this person specifically who happens to be who we see the world through.
Is she loyal to her family?
Well, I was going to make that point too. Battleground, like, she's off screen a lot, but then we see, she had the big plan. Like, seems like a big part of her focus was protecting the family. I don't know. I'm kind of going towards the Hufflepuff camp, I think, a little bit, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This really is.
Okay.
Gabe, what do you think of when you think of Molly?
Yeah, my shotgun instinct was Ravenclaw.
Mm-hmm.
But this is probably another one that I'm just as equally mixed on with Hufflepuff. So
if she was more ambitious, I would go Slytherin.
Right,
it's tough.
Yeah,
and like I don't fully like. I didn't think of her as Hufflepuff. I feel like we see her with the people you'd expect most people to be loyal to. She does also kind of run away from her family and proving guilty, but she's a kid. But people get sorted into houses when they're like, she's the rebellious kid.
I was gonna say she's like a punk. Like, you don't really think of when you think of
when you think of Hufflepuff,
hair, you don't think Hufflepuff.
Do you think of the rebellious kid as Hufflepuff? Like, she becomes more loyal, but like you get sorted when you're like a kid. Like, I don't think of her as Hufflepuff. Like Hufflepuff, I honestly, I don't think I would have even considered it if you hadn't said it.
Interesting.
Other than being
she was like
a
punk kid, like back when she was in high school, like proven guilty days or whatever. Like she was a punk with the piercings and stuff, but I think she was still a good student. She was just like put that shit on after she was just a good Catholic girl at school,
she did kind of like run away from her family and
hang out with bad kids.
You could even tell in Proven Guilty when we see her compared with her friends that she is easily the more like responsible of the group.
Yeah,
but in a Ravenclaw sort of way or a Gryffindor sort of way, not in like the Hufflepuff motherly, or maybe a little bit, I guess.
No, motherly was there for sure. She was making sure her friend was taking her meds and stuff.
Yeah, and then she planted a nightmare in his dreams to
right. Yeah, there was that little thing for sure.
where she almost. My vote is pretty strongly for Ravenclaw, I would say.
Okay,
I'm fine.
Real
with
quick.
That.
Let's talk about some buzzwords real quick, because Ravenclaw, if you demonstrated excellent wisdom.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, my first instinct was almost
for learning.
Wit, yes. Skill for learning, yes.
Yeah, and known for being quite eccentric, and most of the great wizarding inventors and innovators have come from this house.
Ooh, I like the eccentric.
She has created her.
Yeah,
she has also created her own spells.
I was gonna say her one-woman rave is.
Yeah, that's a completely new spell.
And Harry's a spider silk. It's not new, but it's Harry's wards.
Right.
That she did and made better.
It's true. That's an invention for sure.
I like Ravenclaw now. Sorry.
I know.
Yeah, I'm cool with Ravenclaw.
She was the hardest for me. Like when I was thinking through, a lot of like the really main characters are pretty obvious. Mm-hmm. I think she's the least obvious of like the 8. I don't know how many characters are more main characters than Molly. Not very many.
Give or take that, yeah.
Probably less than 8. But of like the 5 most main characters, I think she's the least obvious.
So let me just try the same thing with Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff is where you would find the most trustworthy and hardworking students.
She does actually kind of keep procrastinating and not doing the lessons that Harry wants her to.
No, isn't she on top of them all the time? Isn't she always like studying after hours and stuff?
Am I wrong about that?
I think because doesn't she go down to the lab to like study on her own all the time?
Oh yeah, for some of the stuff she is. I was thinking that she was like failing one of the school things, but that was the bead things. That was because it was not related to.
Yeah, she just didn't know what he wanted there.
You're right, but it's still, when I think of Molly, I don't think of studious as top of mind when I think of Molly.
Also, I'm just going to bring up Ghost Story Molly here really quick.
Sure.
The Ragged Lady is not quite what I would associate with Hufflepuff.
That's fair.
And like, I know she's going through some shit there.
I would argue that that's still being loyal to Harry, because she's
in her community.
Yeah, she's like emblemizing.
Yeah, it's
like
she
what
being like
Harry was.
Yeah, like she kind of idolizes Harry, but is she being like personally loyal to those around her? Like she's trying to do the right thing, I feel like, because she wants to be like Harry. But I don't know. To me, just being like obsessed with an individual person is not what it means by Hufflepuff. Like Hufflepuff to me is like generally loyal. It's just the person she's specifically loyal to is like our point of view.
Right.
It's like, she's never going to betray Harry, but let's put it, I feel, is a lot more likely to betray someone than like Father Forthill we have in Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
What is the list of people you could see Forthill betraying?
Right.
Like I could see Molly betraying like
Murphy.
Yeah, like a few people.
Yeah.
Like not more likely than other people, but not like less likely.
You're right, but she's still Michael's daughter. Yeah.
I just feel like the Carpenter name is pulling a lot of work for. But I don't know. We spend a lot of time here. If you guys really want to have a buff, I'll just say I'm
open. Okay,
yeah, I'm going for Ravenclaw.
Okay, let's do Ravenclaw. I think that is an excellent look into Molly's character. That was a really good discussion.
But kind of none of them fit her. She's
true.
She can be House Dresden.
She's House Dresden, yeah, or she's Muggle. Kincaid.
Did we say we'd put him in Muggle because he just shoot Voldemort?
Yeah, I think he is like the most Muggle. Like he doesn't have any magic, and like neither does Murphy. But he's a scion. He's a scion. Yeah.
But also, like, he's a mercenary, and like it's hard to say like he's super ambitious because he's just like I don't know. Mercenary doesn't seem like particularly.
He's just taking contracts.
He's smart, but he's not Ravenclaw. Like, I don't think he's Hufflepuff. He's only loyal to people who pay him. And like, I guess he's brave in that he's doing really dangerous things, but he's doing it again because he's like a mercenary.
For like selfish, yeah.
He just doesn't really fit any of them.
No, he doesn't.
But you know who does fit one of them? The next person, the Archive.
Ivy. Where does she go?
It's kind of cheating because she has the sum of all human knowledge in her head. Yeah. That being said, Ravenclaw.
Yeah, she's a computer.
Yeah, I mean, I would
magic computer.
She's a library Ravenclaw.
Yeah, like because she's not ambitious. She's not like particularly brave.
Yeah, I mean, she is in some ways loyal. Like she almost has the Hufflepuff who happens to have the sum of all human knowledge in her head.
Right.
But I just feel like she's more Ravenclaw.
Right. I would
agree. Her loyalty comes from like, one person treated me like a real person once. I'm gonna like this guy now.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Harry Dresden, like she might be loyal to Kincaid, but that's about it, I think. Right?
Yeah. No, she's Ravenclaw. We got.
And even then, partially because like sometimes she has to leave the people she's loyal to like out to hang and dry. Which is not her fault, but it still feels kind of relevant.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Who's next?
Ravenclaw prefect, head girl.
Nicodemus.
No, you can't.
No, you can't really make this one.
It's got to be Slytherin, right?
Slytherin. Yeah. I mean, he's just. I don't know if he's like. I feel like to me, like a lot of the Slytherin has like the ambition of wanting to be like famous and leaving like a legacy, which he's constantly trying to hide. So in the back of my head, like, could I make a case that he's not actually aspiring to greatness? He's just trying to accomplish something for Ravenclaw reasons. The problem is how he accomplishes those things is through cunning, resourcefulness, determination, and shrewdness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's clearly Slytherin.
Before this, I was trying to think of any of the like coins or coin bearers who might not be Slytherin, and it's a tough one.
Well, Harry.
Right.
Well, shit, yeah.
Yeah. Butters.
And Sonia had a coin, technically. So we've actually already put a coin bearer in in Gryffindor.
Yeah, where'd we put Sonia?
We put him in Gryffindor. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Waldo Butters.
It's gotta be Hufflepuff, right? Please
you
tell
can
me
make
it's
an
Hufflepuff.
argument for Gryffindor, obviously, but I think Hufflepuff too.
Okay. What was that, Gabe?
What was that last thing I think on your description of Ravenclaw? Like they're inventors or they're...
Yeah, I was thinking Ravenclaw.
Because he is super, like, he's a genius when it comes to, like, inventing stuff with Bob and different magical things that, like the whip and the skateboard and all that stuff in Skin Game.
He's just got such Hufflepuff energy with the bumbling.
He does, yeah.
But my only argument to that would be that is 100% Bob. Like, without Bob, Butters...
100% Bob.
I don't... Yeah,
Harry's
I
had Bob for 2 decades, and Harry didn't invent stuff like that.
Even Bob says that Butters knows more about magical theory than you've ever understood. To Harry, that was in Ghost Story, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
something like that.
That's fair.
Because I think he really does understand the theories.
Bro loves research as well.
Yeah,
like I think there's a pretty good case for Ravenclaw, and then there's the recency bias case for Gryffindor that I was gonna try and shut down, but also definitely has Hufflepuff vibes.
Also, when you think Hufflepuff, you think of kind of like people, and the dude dedicated himself to only having to really interact with dead folks.
That's a pretty good point.
He kind of changed jobs.
Ooh.
It's a big job change, to be fair.
That's the best argument I've heard against Hufflepuff.
You've convinced me, Gavin. Except I actually was already on your team to start with, so that's disingenuous for me to say.
All right, Ravenclaw?
Yeah.
So, interesting. I came in thinking Hufflepuff, too.
Yeah,
Lash.
That's a good
This
point.
is an interesting one.
Lash is super interesting. I lean Ravenclaw right off the bat. All the knowledge, all the...
Yeah.
Actually, I gotta think. I haven't really thought about Lash, huh?
But like Slytherin, like she's very ambitious, like trying to get back to her full body.
Yeah, I think Lashiel is pretty clearly Slytherin. But Lash has a reasonable...
That's a good point.
I mean, it's Slytherin or Ravenclaw. But I don't... She pretty... Like, you know how sometimes you have, like, people who it's hard to fit in any of them? Like, Molly, I kind of feel like it doesn't super fit any of the 4, like, super well. Lash is, like, super Ravenclaw and super Slytherin, which kind of makes it hard.
Gabe, what's your favorite scene with Lashiel?
Probably just the whole, kind of the whole trick thing with that girl in the library when Harry goes to that odds and ends or whatever it's called.
Yes.
I can't remember.
That is an amazing scene.
Yeah. Do you remember the girl's name or the so-called girl's name? Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't either.
Remember her name.
But that whole sequence, and then Harry, coming to find out that none of it was real, and it was.
Let's see. Last time I was trying to open to a page of a book, and I opened it to the first correct page on the first try, and that was for Toll the Hounds, which is a 1,280-page book.
Let's see what you got. All right.
Nope.
Be awesome.
That scene is so good. It still like almost gets me on rereads. Like that reveal is one of the best.
Dude, I remember reading the series for the first time. I remember specifically I was sitting in a library when I read it, and I was just like reading it, and I was like, no. It was just one of those twists that is so good, and it takes you by complete surprise, and you're just like, oh my God. And then when you look back on rereads, it's like you see the owner of the bookshop. He's like, who are you talking to? Like, oh man, that is like some of Jim's best like work as far as like twists go. Like,
it's like the first like truly S tier twist in the series, and then I feel like after that he's a ton of like really good ones. But before that, like he didn't to the same degree. Like, then if you go through book, by almost all of them have, like, a genius reveal. Like, Proven Guilty has that Molly was the Dark Wizard Rashid was talking about.
Yes!
Skin Game has a good one, but I think that the one we're talking about that's the best.
Yes.
I love the Skin Game one,
God,
though.
the Skin Game one is so good.
Which, I mean, there's kind of... I mean, you could say it's Game Over, man. You could also say, I think Harry is pregnant is a genius reveal. Like, the fact that the more you think about it, the better it works, and it's completely insane, is incredible.
Oh my God, yes.
Small Favor has that Mab messed with his memory.
Yes, the blasting wand. Oh my God, that was such a good twist.
That was the twist that made me trust Jim implicitly whenever I think there's a plot hole. because I remember the first time reading that being annoyed that he wasn't using his blasting rod and Jim just had him do Forzere when Fuego was more effective. And then my mind was blown. Anyway,
Turncoat one. Just got to vote for the Turncoat one too, with the photographer and everything. I really like that.
Oh, that was elite as well. Actually, you know what?
Can you remind me?
Ghost Story, Harry being the person who arranged for Kincaid to kill himself.
Oh god, there's so many good ones. Yeah. There's so many good ones.
But Spencer, the Turncoat one is when he's in front of the council and everyone, and he's revealing piece by piece the evidence of why it's so whatever good. That snake was.
Also, then you get the double whammy because you then have that Lucio killed the person and that Morgan covered for it, and that Lucio had been like mind controlled.
Yeah.
Oh,
so many good ones.
There's so many good ones.
Where's Morgan on this list?
Yeah.
He's coming. He's actually almost last.
Yeah, Lashiel, I just want to say real quick before we put her in Slytherin, I want to say that Lashiel, my favorite moment with her was the end of White Knight. It's what makes White Knight one of my top 5 favorite Dresden books, is her sacrifice at the end of it. And then at the very end of the book, anything I can, my host. And then her teaching him or leaving him with the memory of how to play Spanish guitar.
It's unbelievably good.
Oh god, that makes me cry every single time. Every single time. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
So good. Anyway.
Yeah. So Lashiel,
I guess we're putting in Slytherin. But has a good, if it has a very good case for Ravenclaw.
Yeah. I think Ravenclaw would be just as fair, except she doesn't really invent things. She's not really she's wise, but only because she's an encyclopedia of magic knowledge.
All right, let's put her in Slytherin.
Okay. Mab, the Queen of Air and Darkness.
So is Slytherin, but I would just like to say I think she actually has a reasonable case for Gryffindor as well.
Sure.
And that especially you see in Battleground, and that she's actually you have with Harry has the banner. She basically has that all the time and is bearing the pain of winter as it fights against the outsiders, and that I don't know if she's actually particularly doesn't have upward mobility either, but she's kind of stuck in this role that is ridiculously impossible. So it's yes, she's Slytherin, but she also could be Gryffindor, and I just wanted to say that.
Literally one of the top generals for Team Reality, if not the top general for Team Reality.
Yeah.
And she's just cruel and cunning because it's her nature as the dark fairy. That's,
she has to be.
She has to be. There's no choice. But on Team Reality, she is one of the bravest people there is, because she is the one that, without her, nothing is. Reality's gone. It's not.
Also, she's about as flat out daring as any other character, and she appreciates Harry's chivalry. She kind of likes it.
Yeah.
That being said, cunning, resourcefulness, determination, pride, self-preservation, shrewdness.
Cares about her appearance.
Cares about her appearance too.
Yeah.
Can't hold on mantle for thousands of years without becoming.
Yeah. Maeve, the princess of Air and Darkness,
is crazy.
Muggle. I hate her.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she actually wanting to be the Winter Lady is an extreme case of ambition.
Yeah. I mean, but is she just in that position, or is she actually ambitious? I
feel like the plot of Cold Days is. I mean, that's her when she's
infected,
the
outsider. At the,
that's the outsider. That's not even her.
But I think Mab says at some point it's she had been shit at her job for decades. I think before that.
I don't know. It's just if she's not, I guess you can put her in Muggle. She's kind of Slytherin by default.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just kidding when I said that. Slytherin works just
the thing is, I think she is ambitious and she's determined. She kind of is cunning in a different way because she's not doesn't have the quiet cunning, but she does tricks on people.
She's too cartoonishly evil to not be Slytherin in my head. The first meeting with her. Yeah, and
stuff, that's fair. She is cartoonishly evil.
In my head, the cartoonishly evil makes her not Slytherin, just because there's Like most Slytherins.
One of Crabbe or Goyle, I forget which one, is just cartoonishly evil, and she's Slytherin in the Crabbe or Goyle way, not in the Severus Snape way.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, Voldemort is cartoonishly evil, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Default. He's just not any of the other three.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm surprised that we have more Ravenclaws and Slytherins than Gryffindors.
I think it's because we started with the more minor characters and are moving more towards the major ones.
Gryffindor's going to pop off here.
It's going to be like the House Cup every goddamn year with the late comeback.
Yeah. Okay.
160 points for Harry.
Okay, so next we have oh my god, why am I forgetting her name?
Someone?
Dresden's ex-girlfriend when they were young.
Yeah. Elaine.
Elaine. Yeah, okay.
She's kind of Slytherin, isn't she?
Elaine is
Slytherin-y
type.
Maybe?
Well, I have some conspiracy theories that make her very much Slytherin, but...
isn't she... Wouldn't she be Cowell's apprentice?
That's my working theory, but, very non-consensus view, I don't think.
Don't think she's secretly an antagonist, but I think she's kind of Slytherin in the more positive ways. That I think she is like cunning in a way that like Harry isn't, but I don't feel super strongly about it. But that was just my first instinct.
For me, I'd either go. I think I would agree with some of the Slytherin stuff. I could also agree with Muggle, how she doesn't really fit into a lot of houses because she's not loyal. She's not like super wise. She's not super brave like at all.
I think Slytherin. She's pretty cunning. I think she's like we can finally have a non-antagonist in Slytherin.
Yeah.
Unless she is an antagonist.
And then once we find out she's Komori, it'll fit like a glove.
Right. Yeah. It'll fit like a glove. Okay.
That being said, I feel like the next one is extremely interesting.
Okay, let's go to that then.
This is the character that I think we have the most skewed perspective of in the series based on whose head we were in.
Really?
I say this every time Ebenezer comes up. There are two people in this series that Harry extends universal trust. Like, whenever they do something, he always attributes the best possible motives to. One of them is Michael Carpenter. The other is Ebenezer McCoy.
Right.
I would posit that Ebenezer McCoy is not worthy of that and is probably an extremely sketchy, like a much harsher individual than we see. But like we only see him interacting with his grandson,
right?
With like the most rose-tinted glasses you can get. That being said, he's probably pretty brave. It's hard to actually see that though because usually he's like just OP,
right?
But I think it's probably like pretty plausible that he stood up to impossible odds before. I don't think he's Hufflepuff at all. I think he's extremely harsh. I mean, he's the Black Staff.
Yeah.
I think he might be Slytherin as well.
I kind of think he might be Slytherin too. It's just like when the council's like, "Hey, we need someone to do something like ends justify the means, like some bad thing, a lot of collateral damage. We need someone to pull a satellite out of the sky and wreck a compound, including the civilians."
Didn't they like force him into that position though? Or like
I don't know if they forced him into it. I mean, I don't know if we know how he got the position originally, but I think he's been the Black Staff for a long time.
Yeah.
I had always gotten the opinion, or I had always gotten the impression that he didn't necessarily choose to be the Black Staff, that it was like appointed to.
But I think he was chosen to be the Black Staff because he met the qualities of. Like, he's pretty ruthless,
That's
right?
a fair point.
And stupid powerful,
Yeah.
Just overwhelmingly powerful.
So I can see the case that if you want to extrapolate what it would be like if we saw him like as the underdog more often, if you want to go Gryffindor, but I believe he is Slytherin.
Also, for the Slytherin argument, he's on the White Council as one of the big dudes. I can't remember what they're called right now, but he's also like, you know what? Like, sometimes we got to take justice into our own hands. He's pretty much seems like the head of the Grey Council. Well, I guess maybe Odin, actually. But I don't know. If you're kind of running a rogue operation, I don't know. I kind of like the argument for Slytherin.
Gabe?
Yeah, I'm fully on team, not as a character, but I'm team Ebenezer hater because I think he's just a vastly worse person the more you think, like, in all, I think it's very likely that he's a much worse person than Harry thinks he is.
Yeah,
as an extension, a much worse person than the readers think he is.
I can agree with Slytherin. I think that's a fair assumption.
Okay. The most rose-tinted glasses moment Harry had with Ebenezer is in Changes, when Ebenezer shows up and he realizes that Ebenezer was like his grandfather and that the curse would have killed him as well.
Yeah.
He's like, Ebenezer probably hadn't even considered that. I'm like, he probably considered it.
And Ebenezer wasn't even going to help in Changes until he found out that of that.
Harry assumes that it's kind of like, okay, he's supporting Harry because he's like, oh, Harry's doing this to protect his kid. I'm like, yeah, Harry, I think he probably considered that he was going to die too. It's just whenever there's like multiple possible motivations for something, and one is the ruthlessly practical motivation, and one is like the compassionate interpretation. For Ebenezer, Harry always assumes compassionate. And like the only other person he assumes that for is Michael. And the thing is, for Michael, I'm like, yeah, that's because you're right whenever you assume but like Ebenezer is extremely ruthless and practical. It's probably the ruthless and practical reason a lot of the time. Anyway, I like him in Slytherin. We
That's
now have
fair.
2 non-antagonists. Have you heard my kind of pseudo theory, Gavin, that I think Ebenezer will be the antagonist of the time travel book?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Oh, of the time travel book. Interesting. No.
So I go full crazy. I have a video, and it's like 4 Dresden tinfoil hat theories, and it starts at not tinfoil at all and gets more and more tinfoil. And the most tinfoil one that I don't know if I fully believe is the 2 Ebenezer's theory, which is basically that in peace talks, we interact with Ebenezer from 2 different timelines. There's a couple bits of evidence for this, other than Harry actually describes him as looking older and then looking younger. And he's like, oh, he got a haircut. And I'm like, potential foreshadowing. 2, the corner hounds that show up are a thing based on like a Lovecraftian lore that specifically messed with like time travel. So there was time travel going on there. And I think it's going to be the result that when we get to the time travel book, I believe that the plot will involve like Harry, Ebenezer, and Thomas, and Ebenezer's going to be like, I have to like mess with your timeline for your own good and some bullshit. And that
interesting. I like
the
it.
Ebenezer we saw in some scenes in Peace Talks was book 23 Ebenezer. Anyway,
cool.
One thing I like about that theory is that I think it'd just be really cool, and it immediately makes the time travel look like he's an extremely intimidating antagonist. Anyway, that's a topic for another day, probably. Can't talk about that too much, but that's one of my pet theories. I'm glad we put Ebenezer and Slytherin.
I like it. I remember when I heard you talking about that one, I was like, it's not a bad theory.
Yeah, it fits really well with Peace Talks.
Yeah.
It, like, the 2 Ebenezer's thing becomes more challenging for Battleground, because based on his interactions with Battleground, I think it's hard to come up with which Ebenezer was which for each Peace Talks. So I don't know. It doesn't work quite as well in Battleground, but it actually every time I reread Peace Talks, which is not that many times, but last time I reread it, like halfway in, I was like, sure. And then I got to Battleground and I'm like, okay, this is kind of sketchy.
Right. Okay. I like it.
I think there's like a 25% chance I'm right.
Lily of the Summer Court.
I guess Huffle?
Maybe? Right?
That's my shotgun. That's my shotgun thought there.
Based on first instinct?
Yeah.
Like, she's not super ambitious. Even there at the end, like, she wasn't... Like, she was kind of duped by Maeve. She wasn't, like, ambitious to, like, take the island
motives
down.
Were kind of Hufflepuffy.
I feel like most of the Summer Court could... I feel like Summer Court is Hufflepuffy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, kind of in general.
Is Titania on here?
Titania's an interesting one. She'd be tough.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
I guess loyalty... she's Hufflepuff, too. They're all Hufflepuff, I think.
Okay,
so should we stick Lily and Hufflepuff?
I don't think we need to add Titania. Is Fix also Hufflepuff, I guess? I mean,
I would say maybe Gryffindor.
Oh, he's a good case for Gryffindor. I mean, standing up to Harry's tough. Like, Harry's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Gryffindor.
Gryffindor for...
My first instinct was Hufflepuff, but I think thinking about it more.
Yeah.
Because not Ravenclaw, right? Because he's
Not Ravenclaw.
like super.
No.
Yeah, it has to be.
He's
Gryffindor,
not ambitious. Yeah.
He's just not particularly smart as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah, because he's like he gives big Neville Longbottom vibes. He has no hope of standing up to Harry, but he still does.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, who do we have next? Leah.
Main characters now.
Leanne and she.
Main characters and Bianca, who randomly is pretty high up. Leon, she Slytherin?
I think it's got to be Slytherin.
The Winter is such an inherently Slytherin faction because like cunning and is such a huge part of like the fairies generally.
Yeah. Either that or is she kind of Gryffindor?
You say we're talking about the Lenanchi right now, right?
Yeah, Lenanchi.
I don't know what she does that's Gryffindor. She's very rarely actually in danger.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Gryffindor.
It's kind of like there's no courage without fear type thing. Like, when is she afraid to be able to show courage?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, like, Ravenclaw. Is she, like, the magic nerd of the she? But I think she's just Slytherin.
Yeah, I think she's only partially Ravenclaw just because she's Fey and ancient and...
Yeah, I mean, and she's, like, second to Mab, so she knows a ton, right? Like, she's very, very, very...
And we throw in Titania and Hufflepuff.
Yeah, we do have Titania. I don't know if I agree with Hufflepuff, though.
Yeah, it's hard to place her. We don't know as much about her. Her entire thing is, like, the wisdom of the heart, though. Like, she has that speech in Cold Days. About
and, like, she can't be Ravenclaw because she was very open about bypassing logic to continue to hate Harry over the death of her daughter. She's like, I'm heart and head, totally different things. I'm a heart person.
That is a good point. That's a good case for Hufflepuff.
Yeah, so Hufflepuff would be the heart people then. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. That was a good point, Gavin.
Okay. Thomas Wraith.
So this goes back to a point made earlier. Are we measuring people against the other characters or against the other White Court? Because you'd think White Court vampires sucking the life out of people, like your head goes Slytherin, but compare him to every other White Court vampire.
I don't think he's Slytherin.
Every other vampire in the series, for that matter.
I don't think he's Slytherin. Yeah,
he's not ambitious. He's not even particularly cunning.
Like the other two Wraiths are there not because they're White Court. I think it might be Hufflepuff as well.
Right, because he's loyal to Harry, and you could say like, well, we're seeing
family.
Yeah, but like his family too. Like even to Lara, who constantly undermines him,
and Justine. I think he's generally a very loyal person.
Yeah. Right?
And his conflicts are very feels oriented with
and like, I don't know if he's like the Hufflepuff Gryffindor thing is always tough because like when people stand up for the people they care about, it's like they're doing it out of loyalty and it's a brave thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know but I think for Thomas, a lot of his more brave moments are particularly motivated by bravery and not like daring. Like Harry is brave defending people who he doesn't really know at all. Same with like some other people. I feel like Thomas, when he's like brave, is usually defending people that he's personally loyal to.
I was going to say, Gryffindor, one of the traits that it said on the Wizarding World is standing up for the little guy. And I don't get that vibe from Thomas. Like he's not he's sticking up for Butters or something.
No, he's only standing up for the people on his team.
Yeah, the only time he sticks up for people is when he doesn't drain them dry of their frickin' life force. that's his sticking up for them.
He is hiding in White Knight. He is hiding the people from like the serial killer, but that's also partially because it's part of like the House War with like the White Courts, and I think is partially like self-motivated. I think Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I think Hufflepuff.
I agree.
Similar for Michael. I said this a couple times.
No, I gotta
okay.
I immediately go. I think I'll probably allow myself. I'll get convinced to Hufflepuff, but it's just like, Michael, how could it not be Gryffindor?
Yeah,
initial thought.
Like, you asked me to come out, Nicodemus, here I come in Domine. Like, yeah, he's insanely brave as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason I lean Hufflepuff is I think his like family and friendships is more important to him than his like he would consider it a more important part of who he is than like the like battles he's won where he was very brave, even though he's insanely brave. Like he could be both for sure. If there was no Hufflepuff, it's not like he wouldn't be brave enough to be Gryffindor.
He does all those brave things though is because he's so loyal to his principles, right? And his faith and his belief. Like it all stems from his loyalty, whether that's to God, whether that's to Harry. He only engages in brave activities because of that loyalty. So
my argument would be, what does his family want more than anything? Like his charity and whatnot, and I'd say they want him safe and alive at home.
Not doing any Gryffindor stuff.
So when he going out the door in that Nicodemus scene in Skin Game is just like, I don't know, one of the most Gryffindor acts in the
I mean,
I totally agree with that.
It also is loyalty. Like he does do it because they are like killing Harry.
Yeah,
like it's both.
Both,
he obviously he's more brave than a number of the people in Gryffindor.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's also more loyal and kind and just than like the rest of
anybody in Hufflepuff. Yeah.
Can he just be head boy for both? Can he be the head of both houses?
Well, so it's like I'll pass it to Gabe first. Like when you think of your favorite or even most defining Michael moments, like what scene do you think of, Gabe?
Yeah, it's the one that Jake was talking about, where he walks out of the protection of his angel guard and just says, if you let everybody go, I will let you have me. I will. I will step out this gate, is what he says.
Right. Yeah, he has so many good moments.
Nicodemus is like, are you for real? Like, this is the chance of a lifetime. And then we have Uriel come in. Probably that. And then there's other times, like when he's fighting, like whenever he pulls out a sword and says like Inamine Day, and that lights up is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up at the end of Proven Guilty when Harry tells him that he's like possessed by Lashiel. And
dude.
Knows. Yeah. Like he has such huge Hufflepuff and Gryffindor moments. And earlier in Skin Game, chapter 20, the goat dialogue chapter, where Harry goes to him to get his arm, like
splinted. Yeah.
This is what I was gonna bring up. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Whenever I think of Michael, like there are like the action moments and the times where like Michael is like physically protecting someone from like a demon or something. But whenever I think of Michael, I think more of these like quiet moments when Harry goes to him and is like, I'm in big trouble and I just need to like be at your house for a little while. Like one of my absolute favorite scenes with Michael is, I believe, in Skin Game, where Harry goes to him and he knocks on his door and Michael hasn't seen him in a while. And he answers the door and Harry is just standing before him and he says, I don't think I'm a good person anymore.
Skin Game chapter 20, baby.
Oh my God. It's like making me tear up right now. Like that scene is just the icing on the cake every single time. I love that scene in Skin Game. And Michael just kind of meeting him where he's at. Oh my God. It's literally making me tear up right now.
And like as much of a badass as Michael is, I feel like the more important part of who Michael is his faith in Harry and ability to make those around him them better people. And to feel like for the people around him to know that he truly believes in them and like the trust that he has in people. So I totally see where you're coming from, because I think he's more brave than Georgia, Wild Bill, Lucio, Ramirez, like a lot of the people in Gryffindor.
Yeah. But I think that bravery like stems from his loyalty. Oh man, it's so tough, but
that's where I
definitely lean Hufflepuff.
Yeah, same.
Sure.
Billy Werewolf.
Put him with his wife, I guess.
Gryffindor for me,
yeah, I would agree.
And he's also one of the main people who's constantly like volunteering to help Harry in weight classes way above where he's at.
Yeah.
Best shown by doing it before they even met Harry. Like,
right.
I guess there's a kind of blurred line, but
I think he's like unequivocally Gryffindor. You could make an argument for like Hufflepuff, but I don't think like he's got like loyalty and stuff. But when we see him in the series, he is always punching outside of his weight class. Like he is always like extremely courageous and brave, and
I agree.
Kind of encompasses everything that Gryffindor is. Bianca.
She's Slytherin. Why is she so high up on this tier list? Girl's barely a secondary character.
I know. I do love Bianca as a character, though. I always before she died, I always enjoyed whenever she would be on screen.
I just think it's funny to think of how big of a deal she was in the first 3 books.
I know. It seemed like she was going to be a big bad, and then she gets killed in grave peril.
Yeah. Now
she gets
just like
burned alive.
I wonder how she would feel about the fact that like if Harry was going through his greatest foes, she like his top 10 greatest foes, she's barely an honorable mention.
I know. I know.
She thought she was the main antagonist. She thought she was the big bad.
Right.
Like, girl, you're a side quest.
Yeah, you're a side quest. Oh my god. You know what's great though is one thing that I do praise the Dresden Files TV show for is that they had perfectly cast Bianca. Like she was, I cannot think of a better actress than the girl that they got for Bianca. She was amazing. If you haven't seen it, go to Google and type in Dresden Files TV show Bianca, and you'll be like, holy shit, that's Bianca.
The casting was actually not bad for the show.
I even liked Paul Blackthorne for Harry.
He's a good Harry.
Yeah.
And I know Murphy doesn't look like Murphy, but had read the book, as Jim often points out. It's just like the it wasn't the guy, it was the writing. Whatever.
It was the writing. For sure.
All right, we got some heavy hitters here.
We got Mac.
How the fuck do we place Mac?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bro is a
Muggle.
Ravenclaw.
Muggle.
Yeah.
Uninvolved, actually. He's deliberately uninvolved. Maybe Muggle makes sense as the most
uninvolved. He's deliberately uninvolved on purpose.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably a good spot for him.
Yeah, because he's not.
He's a watcher.
He's certainly he's a watcher. He's certainly not like loyal to even Harry.
Yeah. He's not a leader. He's not ambitious. He's not
smart.
He's a Ravenclaw when it comes to cooking steaks.
In other
knowledge
words,
of steaks. He always knows when it's
or micro brews.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm glad that we have the Muggle spot specifically for him because I
would probably put him Ravenclaw if we weren't because of his knowledge of microbrews and steaks.
Yeah, that's about it though.
Next we have a clear Gryffindor.
I was gonna put him in Hufflepuff.
Charged into Gloshi, bro. That's Toot. He charged in the Gloshi.
I would
he's
say
loyal to pizza, okay? Too. Like he's loyal to Harry, but he's loyal to Harry because Harry gives him pizza.
But still, that's loyalty.
Okay, he really likes pizza. Like it's a bit transactional.
It starts that way, but
I think by the end he's actually loyal.
He's actually loyal.
But also, bro charges into Gloshi.
He does. Yeah, that's super brave.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm not saying more. That's
tough, it's like the actions. You can make the Gryffindor, but just like sometimes it's just vibes, and it's like, ooh, that's just vibes, dude.
Let me see if I can find it.
Oh yeah, it's tough because it's like Gryffindor is where you would find the pluckiest and most daring students. There's a reason the house symbol is a brave lion.
Oh, Hufflepuff like snacks. I feel like that's a point
snacks.
In Hufflepuff's favor.
Yes. Gryffindor, courage, bravery, determination.
He is very courageous and brave, honestly.
Yeah, and he is very determined too.
We imagine you're the type of person who likes to stand up for the little guy, challenges authority, has a tendency to act first and think later, is known as a class clown.
Damn.
Ooh, yeah.
He's got to be Gryffindor.
I know, that's a lot of heavy hits. Hufflepuff is where you'll find the most trustworthy and hard-working students. I feel like he is trustworthy. He may not be the best.
One second. Injun Joe nodded. His broken arm had been splinted with a field dressing and wrapped in medical tape. The wardens had probably brought their own gear. I saw the very end of your fight, which is why I felt it appropriate to give the creature the same treatment. He shook his head. It took a lion's courage for the little one to do what he did. I already went looking for him.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. The nail in the coffin. That's fine. That's fine.
I found that pretty fast.
You did.
That's damn. Yeah, you're good at this. Holy shit. Donald Morgan. This is a hard one. This is a tough one.
I would like to source here my own interview with Jim Butcher.
Okay.
Where he said basically that Morgan's character sheet started out as basically the same as Harry's, and he's just been worn down where Harry's gotten lucky, he got unlucky, where Harry barely won, he barely lost, and he's become extremely jaded. Ooh. And I think he's Gryffindor.
Hell yeah, I was going to say he's Gryffindor to his bones, in my opinion.
Because what?
I think he's got Gryffindor written all over him.
Really?
He's just a dick. He's legitimately incredibly courageous, though.
Well, it's also
and he's not nice or ambitious or particularly smart. Thinking about it,
I'm also massively influenced, to be fair, by the microfiction. I don't know if everyone's read.
I've read it.
Yeah,
it's from Morgan's perspective, but it's like
right.
Well, anyway, we can have. I lean Gryffindor for probably the same reasons Jake does.
Wait, what about the microfiction though?
Well, it's just from his perspective, he's the hero, he's the hero in his own story. He's loyal, he's a good guy, he's done heroic stuff. He took out a Nagloshi with a fucking nuke.
That's pretty badass.
He's after Dresden for what in his head are very good reasons, and objectively probably are very good reasons. If you hang around for Justin Demore long enough, and then your new master is the Blackstaff, and then people are hearing crazy rumors. It's hard. I have a lot more empathy also, for Morgan these days.
Bro just always fights on the front lines as well.
Yeah,
right at the front, always.
Yeah, I think he's legit. He's Harry tends to get away with the victory. I think Morgan starts out basically equally brave as Harry, and he's actually still brave even after suffering lots and lots of defeats throughout his life.
Yeah,
which I think is almost more impressive because he has to deal with such doubt. Anyway,
the heroic last stand.
Also, just it is word of Jim because of me that his character sheet started out basically the same as Harry, and Harry is almost definitionally Gryffindor. So I think
ooh, I would argue that, but okay, I think that Morgan, I'm with you on the Gryffindor thing, because as I'm tabbing over to the Wizarding World, tell me if any of this sounds like Donald Morgan. If the Sorting Hat placed you in Slytherin, then you are most likely ambitious, shrewd, and possibly destined for greatness. We can imagine you're the kind of person who is always one step ahead, which Harry is usually one step ahead of him. He has a dark sense of humor, thinks reputation is important. Takes pride in their appearance and doesn't let anybody see their soft side. Maybe the last part, and maybe I don't think he's necessarily ambitious, but he's shrewd. But I don't think he's ambitious.
Kind of. I mean,
I'd say bullheaded over shrewd, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, in Deadbeat, if you think of when he thought Harry killed Lucio, he didn't take time to figure things out. I think he kind of goes chest first and tries to figure things out later, which I think Harry kind of does as well. Harry's just gotten luckier and figured things out, and then sometimes is one step
that's
ahead.
One of the big Gryffindor things for me. Acts without thinking, is impulsive, and I think Morgan's that a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There was the line in Deadbeat. Morgan stood in front of the T-Rex and was about to fight the T-Rex. And I think Harry comments about how this man is just bravery to the point of stupid.
That's fair. Okay. I like it.
Who's
Marcone?
So he's probably Slytherin. He's another person though that I think has a case for Gryffindor, because I don't know how he walks around with the balls he has on him. Bro is kind of built different.
Right. Marcone is like next to Harry Dresden, he's like my favorite character in the Dresden Files. I think he's so much more complex than we initially give him credit for, and he has so many different sides to him that I absolutely just adore. Um, and yeah, he's got like a slightly like softer side to him that he definitely doesn't let anybody see. But he's super ambitious, he's super cunning,
I mean,
he's super
he is
like,
Slytherin, especially like the it's never enough, like however much power he gets throughout the books. You keep thinking like he'll probably sit on that, and then he's just like, I'm gonna become a baron.
Right. And then
I'm gonna become a Denarian. Like
yeah.
And he just doesn't stop. And he's like, I'm gonna keep going. Like
I think he's Slytherin too. I could Steelman Gryffindor. Like he's top in terms of bravest characters, in terms of especially before becoming a Denarian, like stepping to power, never shows any fear at any point. Like very, very brave, very courageous. Like even when they're storming the deeps in White Knight,
yes,
he's going into a magic fight just with a gun. He's right in there with everyone else. And I could Steelman, but it's just like too much Slytherin vibes.
He just fits Slytherin so well, even if he does have Gryffindor trait. Like on the Harry Potter fandom, one of the traits it has for Gryffindor is like nerve, and boy does he have nerve. But he just has all of Slytherin traits like in spades.
Yeah, that's fair. Gabe, any thoughts about Marcone? Any like favorite scenes or just general characteristics?
Yeah, I would go Slytherin all the way for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
But the
Susan
type Slytherin, I think.
Susan's interesting.
Susan.
Hufflepuff. I don't care about
Susan. I don't think she's like super loyal, especially given like changes.
No, you're probably right. She isn't Hufflepuff, but what is she? I have no idea. Muggle? I don't want Muggle.
I'm thinking of more like reporter Susan, which because like her life kind of blows up and she becomes half vampire Susan.
Right.
But I think reporter Susan is probably Ravenclaw.
Very inquisitive.
Yeah.
Search for knowledge.
Very curious. Susan, dedicated to like her like finding knowledge.
I kind of like Ravenclaw too.
But I don't feel super strongly about it. But I just don't know if I can make a case for the other three.
I would say I understand the Ravenclaw. I would say either Gryffindor or Muggle.
Muggle. Because
Gryffindor, like, it changes is where we really get it, right? Where she's like, me and Martin are going to charge into this building full of vampires and Harry's going to stay at the car. Like,
yeah, she does go to the vampire. She does go to the vampire ball as well, which I mean was foolish, but was brave. Okay, I can see Gryffindor as well. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on Susan.
I know.
Anyways, it's already 2 hours. It's already long.
I know. Should we just go Ravenclaw? Or what do you guys want to do?
Muggle. I don't like Susan.
Muggle?
Let's do Muggle.
Okay.
She's got a Muggle type role a lot. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Bob, I think, is Ravenclaw, right?
Like, I would say
gotta be.
Yeah, like he actually almost doesn't have the other traits kind of at all. Like, he might be the least brave.
The Slytherin stuff, I can make an argument with the evil Bob, kind of, a little bit maybe,
I guess the version of Kemmler,
Spirit of Intellect just trumps it easy.
Also, I think it's kind of just the Kemmler leaking into him.
Yeah, that's true.
He's kind of cowardly. And he doesn't really understand compassion or the concept of kindness.
Right.
So, yeah, Ravenclaw.
Yeah, because I think that he's Ravenclaw in the same way that Ivy is, right? Where they're just like their massive amount of knowledge just trumps everything else.
Except unlike Ivy, who has traits of the others, he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, he would probably be even more Ravenclaw.
Anyway, we can't worry about the sub things right now. Murphy.
Yeah.
Easy. Gryffindor?
Easy Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
One of the most quintessential Gryffindor with Harry, I think.
Either that or Hufflepuff. But no,
she's
even before...
She's like gunned every fight.
Yeah, she's like stupid.
No.
brave.
Yeah.
Like,
also, she's kind of abrasive and not particularly nice.
Yeah,
that's true.
She's
actually,
not like
she's
particularly
kind of a bitch,
friendly.
especially early.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think Harry is like.
I want to hear
Gryffindor...
Spencer's argument.
Yeah,
for Harry.
You can go for it. It's not a thing.
So, Harry and Slytherin, let me tell you. He's not necessarily ambitious, but he does care about his like reputation to a certain extent. Like, he has to be perceived as the sheriff of Chicago, and he needs people to fear him and, see him as this, big, heavy hitter. He's very cunning. We kind of talked about it earlier, but he is always one step ahead. Like, even when you think that he's outmatched, he usually has an ace up his sleeve. And he's always got, like, he even says, like, the way to be a wizard that wins fights, matter of fact, the only way to be a wizard that wins fights is to plan ahead of time. And he will sit back and he will plan this whole thing, and he'll go into a fight with all of these like bags of tricks, and he's kind of like prepared in that way. And so, it says here, we can imagine that you're the kind of person who is always one step ahead, has a dark sense of humor, thinks reputation is important, and takes pride in their appearance, which he doesn't really, aside from like his imposing appearance. Like, he cares about if he looks like, he wants to look sketchy to people. Like, he wants to look dangerous. And so I think that that's why he doesn't really take care of himself a whole lot. Also, he doesn't really care, but I think that that's part of, like, he's like, I'm not going to try to like pretty up my scars or anything because it makes me look dangerous. And then he doesn't let anyone see their soft side. And we talked about this earlier, where like his close friends see his soft side, but literally anyone else does not.
Okay.
Can I? Oh, go ahead.
Make some interesting points, but I kind of don't agree with any of them at all. Like, I can see how he kind of, sort of, if you squint at it, fits some of the traits for Slytherin. So, like, does he care about his reputation? For some practical reasons, he kind of does. He also, for a lot of the early parts of the book, and even later, is completely unaware of how scary he is from other people's perspective.
That's the point I want to make. I think one of the themes of Harry is him not understanding his own reputation. Yeah. And that's one of the things I like most about Ghost Story is, like, I don't think Harry quite realizes how absolutely terrifying he is to almost everyone in the books. And I think that's, like, I don't think he, like, when I think of someone who cares about their reputation, I would think of, like, I don't know, like a Quoth, or even like Harry Potter, Malfoy or something. Like, they care about their reputation. Like, I think he garners his reputation and is somehow, like, part of the story is him being unaware of quite how
he is. I think he kind of got his reputation by accident, and like is honestly, as Gavin said, kind of blissfully unaware of how scary he is to a lot of people, and it leads to a lot of his confusion about how people see him. And like, people have to explain to him, like, Harry, look, like, all this stuff has gone through you, like, and you say he's always one step ahead, and I just don't think I buy that.
Really?
Like, he comes out with the win a lot of time, and he's sometimes one step ahead.
Oh no, every story is him being blindsided.
But
and
a lot
him
of the
having
time,
to catch up.
Yeah, he's blindsided, but once he's blindsided, then he prepares, and he's ready for the next encounter.
Like 2 or the 3 books, maybe. He's usually just running forward, like, a couple times.
Yeah,
well,
I think he kind of just figures it out as he goes along most of the time. He's just very good at figuring it. Like, he's very good attention to detail. He can be very tricky at, like, he has some very general preparation.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
And then he's very good at adapting his general preparation to whatever the situation is.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Mab is always one step ahead. Like, Nicodemus is usually one step ahead. Like, he's one step ahead in Skin Game. Like, that's true. And he's one step ahead kind of in Turncoat, but then at the end he's like, I actually got super lucky that they went in and checked on Lucio, and that I was completely unaware of, and if they hadn't done that, I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, I can see the case that he kind of sort of fits some of the Slytherin things, maybe. But then you just read the Gryffindor description and it's just so clearly and obviously him.
Yeah.
To like an insane degree.
Well, before we read the Gryffindor description, what about Ravenclaw? He's like a magic nerd. He's been described that way many times. He gets super into the weeds about like making his spells and stuff. Maybe not as much as someone like Molly, or like he doesn't have the knowledge that Bob does. Little Chicago is an invention that he made.
True.
I think he has a much better case for Ravenclaw than Slytherin.
Okay.
I think it's the distant second best case. Like he has Ravenclaw attributes.
What about?
But he's just Gryffindor like to a T. Like literally, just read the Gryffindor description and then repeat the case you're going to make for the other one first.
Okay, we will. But lastly, what about Hufflepuff?
Loyalty like crazy.
Yeah, but he only has loyalty. That's the only thing going for him in Hufflepuff.
He's hardworking, actually. He's very hardworking.
Okay, hard work, but he's not patient whatsoever. He's very impatient. He does not play fair ever at all.
Yeah, he I think is fair in the sense of
fair
like
when he
morally.
Tries to be, but
the snark disqualifies him.
I think he's also more Hufflepuff. I'd go like Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff are kind of close, and then Slytherin. But I don't know, like. If I just go to the wiki and read the things for Gryffindor, okay, determination, he actually has like incredible determination. Bravery and courage kind of mean the same thing, but like when has he succumbed to fear and not trying to and like succumb to things because of fear? Chivalry, nerve, like he actually has insane nerve. Like sometimes he does things and you're just like, bro, how the hell do you just like the nerve of you? And daring is again kind of similar to courage and bravery. Like,
mine says Gryffindor house is where you would find the pluckiest and most daring students. If the Sorting Hat placed you here, you would have demonstrated qualities like courage, bravery, determination. Some of the wizarding world's best and brightest belong to this house. If you are lucky enough to end up in Gryffindor, we imagine you're the type of person who likes to stand up for the little guy, challenges authority, has a tendency to act first and think later, is known as a class clown, and takes board games very seriously.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. I wanted to pose the other ones as hypotheticals, but I think you're right with Gryffindor. I've mentioned many times after, I read Harry Potter as a series for the very first time in my life last year, at the end of last year. And the whole time I was reading it, I was like, this is the Dresden Files for kids or for like teenagers. Like this is like, I can see so many ways that Jim Butcher like loved Harry Potter and implemented them into the Dresden Files, just implemented different aspects and stuff. And I think Harry Dresden is obviously like an older Harry Potter, like a more dangerous and badass Harry Potter, I think. Cool. So we got all of these guys sorted. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but dear God, look at this list. We got Gryffindor and Slytherin neck and neck with the exact same amount of people, which is how it usually is in the books, which is funny. And then it's also like Ravenclaw in the books. Ravenclaw usually comes out on top of Hufflepuff, which is pretty like similar here. And then we have a few Muggles, which is, same as Harry Potter. There's usually a few Muggles hanging around. So I think all of this adds up to like really, really good parallels with Harry Potter just as a series. Before we wrap everything up here, we won't go too into depth, but in each house, who do you think the prefect is? And remember that this is like the hall monitor. This is the person that is like the teacher's pet, keeping the other students in line. And so for Gryffindor, what do you think?
Shiro.
Murphy.
Ooh, I was going to say Morgan.
I like all those answers.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
sometimes kind of an asshole. So Morgan,
you could probably pick 50% of them.
Yeah, Shiro might be too much of a softie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Morgan, I feel like would get in trouble though, because he would be stubborn
ornery
with the teachers as well as the other students.
Ornery.
I think Murphy. I think Gavin's.
Yeah.
I think Gavin did.
I think Murphy's a good pick for that as well. I think she's good, and she's like a cop. Like,
yeah.
I think it fits too well. Slytherin.
I mean, Mab would be the head of the house, so I feel.
I would say like.
And she would pick Lara as her prefect because Lara's like Mab's teacher's pet.
Yeah, I kind of like Lara.
Yeah, right.
Although would she chafe under Mab?
I don't know.
I think she's very smooth at like having she'd be very smooth at navigating that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Lianchi's a bit too whimsical. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think for
wait, real quick, for Gryffindor, who would be the head of house? Like Shiro? The McGonagall.
Maybe Shiro?
Yeah,
Shiro.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay. Ravenclaw?
Odin is head of the house.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And I would say Rashid as the prefect.
Maybe. I was thinking Ivy?
I don't know.
She's too... Actually, yeah, I feel like Ivy might be perfect, actually.
Oh,
really?
Ivy would be very good at the job.
Yeah, she would be very good. She would do it to the letter.
Exactly. Maybe that's actually to a fault, maybe.
Would she quote rules back at the teacher, leading to them being mad?
Yeah.
Maybe listens to him because he's very like diplomatic.
Yeah, but he's too wise eldery for that type of role, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I think I personally like Ivy the more I've thought about it over the last few seconds here.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like Ivy too.
Okay. Hufflepuff, head of house.
Michael.
And then Mouse is prefect?
Mouse is the prefect.
Oh, Mouse is the prefect, 100%.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense for Forthill to be the head and Michael to be the prefect. But then when Mouse came around, Forthill's like, no, I've decided Mouse is the prefect.
Let's be real. Michael and Forthill get into an argument. Who's winning that argument?
Mouse.
No, Michael and Forthill.
Yeah, Mouse is going to come in and say woof, and they're going to be like, good point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Dang. So is Mouse the prefect?
I think Michael would be very okay with.
I don't think any of the Hufflepuffers will disagree.
I don't think Michael would want to be the prefect because it's all like teachers. I don't know. I'm good with that.
Okay. And then Muggles are led by the anonymous blonde woman.
Uriel.
And Uriel. Yeah.
Uriel Mac.
Uriel and Mac. Okay.
Oh, so blonde woman is probably Sarissa, right?
Oh.
That makes sense.
Is Sarissa blonde?
Yeah, because she'd be Mab's kid. Yeah, it's probably Sarissa. Good call.
Sarissa, I think Hufflepuff winner.
Does she go into Hufflepuff? No. She's not like loyal particularly.
No.
I think kind of doing her own thing.
She's actually perfect as Muggle.
She's Muggle, exactly.
Yeah. Because she like helps Mab learn about the Muggle world.
Exactly. So she's now Muggle deliberately and not accidentally. That's perfect.
Right. That's great. That's so great, guys. Look at this awesome list that we've made. This is fantastic. I love this so much.
I think we did good work.
Yeah, I think we did too. We thought about these like really, really well, and we didn't make too many like snap decisions, and we had like a lot of discussions about a ton of these characters, and now all I want to do is go read the Dresden Files.
I at one point, while you guys were arguing, went and found a certain quote from Turncoat. That was my crowning achievement. I was tuning you out because I was reading it. I just heard the argument in the background.
Yeah. Wait, was it one of the ones that you read out loud?
Yeah, for Turncoat, for Toot Toot, when I just read out Listens to Win being like, he has the courage of a lion, that one.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Dang, that's awesome. I don't like Harry being at the bottom there. So
all right, what if we do one more thing?
Okay.
Who would be the captain of each Quidditch team?
Ooh.
I like that.
Oh, that's a good question. Ramirez for Gryffindor?
Maybe.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Competitive, a little. Yeah.
He'd pick people. I mean, Harry is kind of the leader of the like Chicago group, and is good at inspiring loyalty.
He's not going to take it seriously enough, though.
That's true.
He doesn't like. I don't think he'd like sports very much.
That's true. No. Okay, yeah, I like Ramirez. What about Bill for like being? He's leader of the. He's not cool enough.
He's a bludger. He's got big bludger.
Bill is a bludger for sure.
Oh, what about Lucio?
Ooh. Oh. Yeah. I like that better than Ramirez.
Yeah. As soon as I saw Lucio, I was like, yeah, Lucio. Okay. Slytherin.
The head, either Lord Wraith.
I feel like Nicodemus doesn't care about Quidditch, and he would just not go.
Maeve might get fired up about Quidditch.
Could see that. What if the Genesaqua?
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see him on a broom.
Yeah,
for real.
Oh, maybe Marcone.
Oh,
he's a G. He's got big GM energy.
Leon
he's a GM of a competitive Quidditch team.
Thoughts?
Oh, Leanchi?
Oh, she'd be fun.
Who actually, funnily enough, almost literally is Mab's prefect.
That is true.
Which I didn't consider.
Interesting.
I like her as actually the Quidditch person, though. I think she'd take it. She would.
What if we swap her and Laura and we make Leanchi the prefect, since Leanchi basically is the prefect of Winter, and Lara, who ended up in. I'm fine with those in either. I think those are good. They'd both be good at both.
Yeah. I don't know. I vote for Leah as the Quidditch captain, just because I think it'd be fun.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I'm good with that.
Ravenclaw.
Molly, maybe? I feel like Molly would be good at Quidditch. I feel like she might get obsessed with Quidditch and become like insanely good at it.
Right? Either her or like Margaret Le Fay.
What about Butters flies on the skateboard?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, doesn't exactly have athlete.
Yeah, he doesn't have the athleticism.
No, yeah.
I feel like Molly could have some like speaker talent, Ginny Weasley style.
Yeah, Ginny Weasley. She's totally the Ginny Weasley.
And Ginny ends up being the captain after Harry, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like she's the person who'd get obsessed with Quidditch.
Okay. Wait, Gabe, any thoughts on any of these?
So arbitrary for this, but whatever.
I know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Hufflepuff. I kind of think. Oh God, Thomas might be.
I was thinking Thomas or Chandler.
Or Andy.
Yeah,
I kind of like Thomas.
Thomas feels like he'd be good at Quidditch. He's good at everything naturally.
True.
He doesn't even exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's like specifically mentioned.
He'll just seduce all the female players into
right. Yeah.
Accidentally though, he'll be annoyed by it. Like he'll get really into Quidditch and want to take it seriously, and he'll get annoyed because for tryouts every single time it'll just be a bunch of women who like just want to go out with him, and for the tryouts it'll just be like, no, you literally don't own a broom, you've never flown before, and there'll be like 5 people actually trying for the Quidditch, and it'll be like when he finally gets to someone who actually is trying to play Quidditch, he'll be like, thank you.
Right. Exactly. Muggle Quidditch, like Muggle, like LARPing Quidditch.
I feel like Kincaid will just snipe, he'll just snipe the Seeker. He'll be the Seeker, and he'll just find the snitch right away because he doesn't miss.
I feel like Uriel would just get rattled and end the universe.
Yeah.
Uriel could just snap his fingers and win the match.
Snitch isn't anywhere.
Actually, Uriel every time will be like, I could catch the snitch, but I'm not allowed to because of the laws of the universe.
Right, yeah.
Free will demands the snitch not be found.
I think Sarissa would be like annoyed by it because she's like, I deal with magic like so often. I don't want this to be my hobby. Like, but on the other hand, then you have Susan who's like actively seeking out the magical. I think
very athletic.
She could be a Quidditch captain.
Yeah, I think she'd be a Quidditch captain. Yeah, that's great. That was a great thing to throw in there, Jake. That's awesome.
Happy I could be of help.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Gabe and just going through this huge like tier list that we made. Hopefully I can make this into like an actual tier list that I can like put out to I'll try to figure out how to do that to make it like an actual tier list that I can put out there for other people to find. If I end up doing that, if I end up figuring out how to do that, I'll put it in the link in the description so that people at home can play with this list as well. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I know it's been a long one, much longer than we thought it would be. But you've all been fantastic. So, yeah, anything coming up for either of you? Jake, do you have any videos coming up that you'd like to shout out or anything?
Not really. I don't know what I'm going to do for my next video.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it'll probably be September wrap up. And I read a lot of books in September. I had a very good reading month.
Oh, cool. Have you had a good reading year? Has this been a good reading year for you?
Yeah, it was kind of a rebound because 2023 was not that good. I haven't read as much as I did in 2020, 2021, or 2022, but it's been very good in terms of quality. I think I've had 5 or 6 books. Like, I think my book of the year last year would be like my 5th or 6th favorite book this year.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. What about you, Gavin? Has it been a good reading year for you?
It's been a pretty good reading year. I've done actually a lot more rereading this year than I usually do. I used to reread books a lot way back and haven't done as much these days, but I've been going back and rereading some of my favorites. Partially, I reread Way of Kings to do the show last time, and then I continued on in that. But then also a few others of my favorites I've been going back to and realizing, these are my favorites for a reason. These are so freaking good. But yeah, nothing to plug. But yeah, super happy to be back on the show.
Cool. You did read King's Dark Tidings this year, which I was super excited about.
I actually read a bunch of stuff you recommend. I read King's Dark Tidings you recommend. What's that magic one? That did 5 books, and then I think they're one into the next series. Art of the Adept.
Art of the Adept.
You recommended me. I like the vampire one you recommended, which I also really liked. So I've had,
Was that Empire the Vampire?
Empire the Vampire, yeah. I think the other one you recommended. But yeah, all nice. Fun, good series for sure.
I don't think I read anything you recommended. So,
Jake, I think legitimately, I think you would like King's Dark Tidings.
Yeah, it's on the list. I take a long time to get to stuff after I get recommended them for the first time. Like, I'm finally getting to Prince of Nothing by R. Scott Baker. I got recommended that in like 2020 or something.
Yeah.
I'll get there eventually. I clicked one to read on Goodreads.
I actually checked recently. My TBR, like my actual iPhone note, is like well over 10 years old now. It's freaking crazy. So I've had books on there like 7-8 years.
Oh,
Prince of Nothing has actually been on there for I don't know, at least 6-7 years now. It's it hasn't moved up though. So I'm curious. Hopefully you put out a video and maybe it'll spur me to pick it up.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. Jake, I think very much you would enjoy King's Dark Tidings in the same way that you enjoy Dresden Files. Like I really think it would be like that high on the list for you if you tried it.
That's setting it a high bar considering Dresden is.
And do you do audiobooks?
I only do audio for rereads.
Okay.
I don't do audio for the first time reads because I just every time I listen to an audio for a book, I think it's worse, and it's just not fair to books. The only exception is every single book on audio I have like less than if I'd read it physically, like on reread, and I have to stop myself from lowering it, except with Stephen Pacey and The Blade itself. The Blade itself, I was kind of because everyone talked about how good Stephen Pacey was, and I was like, yeah, whatever, it's me with audio. And then he was as good as people said he was, and that
right.
Well, I've read it a few times. I haven't listened to it. Now I want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen Pacey's amazing. I wasn't like a huge fan of The First Law, which I know is crazy. But I definitely cannot like say that Stephen Pacey wasn't in a entire class of his own. Like he was amazing.
He's a full cast audio in human form. He's a one-man full cast audio.
Nick Podell is as well. Jake, have you done the audiobooks for like King Killer or then
highly recommend those.
Yeah, I think Nick Podell is on a similar level as Stephen Pacey, where he's like a one-man show with all these different voices, and he does the audio for King's Dark Tidings as well.
Well, at some point, if I'm rereading Kingkiller because Doors of Stone is coming out, I'll probably do them on audio.
Right. I would highly recommend it. It's so good on audio.
It's something that you really don't want to miss.
Like, you recommend character? I'm going to tell one. Go read the Vorkosigan saga, which is my new obsession. I actually think, Gavin, I don't know your taste in books that well, other than that you like Stormlight and Dresden, so presumably agree with me a decent amount. But I think Vorkosigan saga has a lot of cross appeal for Dresden, for not necessarily like it doesn't have like the magic stuff or like the lore stuff aesthetically, but in terms of style, I think it has a lot of crossover appeal to Dresden. So actually, there's a lot of Dresden fans like myself who are like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of urban fantasy. Dresden is just so good, so I'm a huge fan of Dresden. I think it has a similar like it has like the quick palate cleanser. Each book is kind of a standalone thing with just fantastic character work, a super entertaining, but also very heartfelt protagonist in Miles for most of it. And I think it generally just has a lot of like universal appeal. I don't quite like my favorite Vorkosigan books as much as I like Changes in Battleground.
Sure.
But they're like not, if someone came back and read Mirror Dance and was like, yeah, I like that more than any of the Dresden books, I would think that's crazy. But also, like, I like Vorkosigan instantly. Like,
the fact that they're even in the same conversation speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Volumes. I'm going to write that one down.
Lois Bajolde Jim Butcher considers Lois Bajolde the best living fantasy or sci-fi author.
What?
And he's Lois Bajolde, like, he's as big of a fan as Lois Bajolde as you can be.
Wow.
She's one of the best plotters and character writers that I have read. Like, the amount of like random details that are plot relevant, that you think is a random detail that's plot relevant, is staggering. Anyway, that's my end of thing pitch.
Cool.
I'm gonna have dinner.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's all get out of here. But I have written that down, so I'm definitely gonna check out that series. Thank you for the recommendation. But yeah, guys, once again, thank you so much for hanging out and doing this with us. This was a fun episode to do outside of like discussing something book by book. It was really great to have the opportunity to do a more topical episode. But yeah, anyways, guys, we are going to wrap it up there for today. Thank you all for hanging out with us while we rank and sort all of these Dresden Files characters. You can find Jake's YouTube links and all that down in the description if you'd like to check out his stuff. Once again, I highly recommend his interview with Jim Butcher. I think it's easily one of the best Jim Butcher interviews. It's up there with like the Legendarium interview. That one is better.
Stuff. I will take the Legendarium one is better than mine, and if you haven't watched that, you should watch that one first. I think mine has a case for being the second best Jim Butcher interview. But
I think so.
Legendarium, I think, is lightweight.
It's a fantastic interview for sure.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, so upcoming episodes for us are going to be Stormlight. We have our Words of Radiance episode coming up shortly after this comes out. And then I'm sure we'll have the next Harry Potter episode pretty soon. We also have Skin Game that's going to be coming up pretty soon that I hope Gavin will join us for. And Jake, if you're free, I don't have like a firm date for it or anything, but I'll let you know if you'd like to come on.
If I can make it, I will. I know, like, schedule wise, I sometimes struggle to come on, but it's always good when I can.
Sure.
Especially Skin Game is so good.
Skin Game is amazing. Yeah. But then last thing I'll plug real quick is it's by the time this episode comes out, it'll be around the time for us to start plugging our end of the year extravaganza that we do every year. This is the one where I fly back out to Washington and I hang out with Gabe and Chris in person. And of course, we'll have our new co-host Sam on as well in like a separate, on StreamYard. She'll be there too. And it's where we rank our top 5 books of the year, top 5 movies or TV shows, and top 5 video games. And we just talk about the year in general and, what it's been like for us as a channel and for us in our reading and stuff. So I hope you all will join us for that. This is the first year that it'll be a live stream. Now that we're using StreamYard, we can easily do these live streams. and we hope to see you all there. It'll either be December 21st or the 22nd, and as we get closer to that, we'll start nailing that down a little bit more. But I hope you guys will join us for that. It's super fun. We have a lot of drinks and we get a little crazy with it, and it's just a good time. But other than that, of course, all of our links are down in the description if you'd like to reach out to us on Twitter, or even if you'd like to comment here on YouTube. We always appreciate just chatting with you guys. You guys have made the past 3 years so amazing with this community, so we just love interacting with you. So feel free to do that in whatever way you prefer. And if you'd like,
sometimes it even gets you an invite to the show.
Sometimes it even gets you an invite to the show. Like, literally, Gavin was a commenter and a friend on Twitter that has now been on the show many times. So,
yep. I don't know how they found me. They stalked me. I think they're hiding in the woods, and they showed up, and I was like, who are these people?
Yeah, I was actually like sitting outside your house for like 3 weeks before I worked up the nerve to invite you. But yeah, that's how Sam became a co-host. She was just someone that commented on our videos and hung out with us on Twitter and stuff. So again, we love interacting with you guys, and there's always the option to come on the show if it's something that you feel comfortable with and you feel like talking about books. But with that, everybody, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And we'll see you in the next episode. I don't have a funny until next time thing this time, but we love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.